Okay, we're now broadcasting, so I'm just going to have a quick look at this on the actual channel to make sure it's broadcasting okay. Just have a look on my YouTube channel, see how everything's looking on that. Of course, this is the point where everything slows down on my computer, obviously. Okay, so yeah, everything is reversed on there, so I'm going to flip that round. So just give me a few moments, guys. It's a bit weird seeing all the like movements I'm making being copied onto a YouTube screen, but there you go. What can you do?
It's video editing in stereo.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. Well, I've got the sound turned off just because it would drive me insane otherwise. Okay, so I think you guys should be able to see everything the right way around now. And it looks
the 20-sided is backwards.
Yeah, good point. Thank you for reminding me.
The red dice logo.
Yeah, go stay on brand.
Right.
There we go. Switch that around.
Yeah, I've watched quite a bit of Red Dice Diaries.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Okay, there we go.
Almost feels like I'm in a celebrity game.
Okay, there we go. So I think that should have sorted out any issues with it. So yeah, it's still running. Everything looks the right way around now. So lovely. So we've got about 4 minutes to kill, guys, before we get actually officially started. So just as I know we've talked a little bit about characters and the fate system, etc. Is there anything else anyone needs covering in these last couple of minutes before we get started?
Nope,
I think I am good.
Yeah, good to go.
Okay, splendid. Let's just move that up there so it can actually be seen on the screen. Because of course I didn't figure the fact that it'd have everyone's video at the bottom in like tiny vision. So, like I say, it's been far too long since I've used Hangouts. So there we go. Okay, that's all looking good. Right. Okay, since we've only got about a minute to go, I think we should get started, guys. If you're all okay with that.
Sure.
Okay, so here we go with the setup for this adventure, which is using the Fate core system. It's running the Wild Blue setting, which is a sort of Wild West, but with superpowers. The players take on the role of Wardens. They are empowered people who keep the law in the Blue Lands, put in place by Queen Aurora, since the only way to stop powered people committing crimes is with other powered people. So each of the characters are Wardens. They all wear the Cobalt Star, and Wardens are culled from all different types of backgrounds, but they all have talents that are useful to the organization as a whole. So I'm joined by 3 wonderful players who have all got up ridiculously early to join me for this game. So thank you very much. Right, on with the introduction. Our people came to this world ages ago from a faraway place. We lost a lot of what we were when we arrived and had to claw our way back from nothing. This brought us into bloody conflict with the locals, those that we now call the folk. We pushed them to the outskirts of the world, and there has been bad blood between us ever since. Of course, we tried to make peace, but there's so much blood between us, and we're so different that we've had no luck. The last time we tried, there was a misunderstanding and one of their leaders was killed, leading to them striking back in what became known as the Crimson Ridge Massacre. It was only thanks to the valiant efforts of Warden Chapman that any of our people survived. There have been no further attempts at peace since. After a few generations on this land, people started to be born with strange powers and abilities. Most people were normal, but them who had the powers started getting out of hand, and something had to be done. Queen Aurora created the Wardens, powered folk who could keep the law in this land and make it safe for people to go about their lives. That's our job. Keep the peace, put down the bad guys. At least that's how it works in theory. Of course, not all people want to live by the rule of law. Rebels and bandits who retreated to the outlands, a lawless stretch of waste between us and the folklands. Worst of all is Barabas, the so-called Bandit King. He's a slippery cuss and no mistake. Now he's found a way to make a drug called Red. It's addictive as all hell and eventually fatal, but it gives non-powered folks abilities for a time. Word is that Barabas has the rogue scientist and ex-warden Silas Greybatch cooking it up for him. We've got word that Silas is holed up in the outland town of Rattlesnake Gulch, but that he's getting ready to move. We need him recovered and this whole operation shut down. That's where you come in, Wardens. So we begin our adventure with the 3 Wardens riding towards Rattlesnake Gulch in the Outlands. It's a dusty stretch of prairie with mesas riding on either side. I'm going to ask each of the players just introduce themselves and say a few words about the character they're playing. So we'll start off with Ian.
Hey. Morning. Howdy, partners. I'm playing Trapper Chapman, the aforementioned survivor of the massacre by the folk. A grizzled veteran of the wars against the folk. A man not really to be crossed. A man set in his ways. Dislikes the folk, but he's wearing the Cobalt badge now. He has a duty to solve crime, to sort things out, get the bad guys, and he will possibly be leading this bunch, at least on the trail, and he'll just glance back and see who's behind him.
Okay, thank you very much. We now go on to Joseph.
How's everybody? Tonight, or this morning, I'm playing Warren Holcomb. That's right. I came to a realization at an awfully young age that life is a game of chance. It's just a series of odds, and nobody knows how to work them odds better than me. I'll tell you what, when I first got pulled into wearing the Cobalt badge, I was playing a game of cards, and, well, some warden noticed a couple tricks I was doing, tapping into a little bit of power. Instead of making an arrest, why, the opportunity of a lifetime. So here I am, outlaw turned badge man. I'm going to take this 10-star all the way into this little town, and, well, we're going to see what the cards play out as.
Thank you very much. And last but by no means least, we go on to Jaren.
Well, you all know me better as Miss Amanda Bailey, but folks just call me Mandy. You see, I got me a score to settle with Mr. Barabas. I'm gonna shove this Cobalt Star so far where the sun don't shine, he'll never be able to ride again. And as for that Red, well, something gotta be done. It's being affecting my gals. And when they come between me and my livelihood, this old lady ain't gonna stand for it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. So, as I've said, we start the scenario. You're all riding towards, on your horses, towards the small outland town of Rattlesnake Gulch. You can just about glimpse it in the distance. It's still some way off. You can see that even from this distance, it's like a 2-horse town at best. There's a scattering of buildings. Maybe you can just make out a larger building, probably a saloon or something. You're not really sure at the moment. However, the thing that catches your attention is between you and your destination is what appears to be a coach or a wagon. You can see it's missing one of its wheels. There are black feathered arrows sticking out haphazardly from the carriage. There are people lying around, their blood soaking into the sand, all of them riddled with arrows. Over to you guys.
That damn folk.
Warren Holcomb, or Holcomb as folks call him, is going to kind of hold his derby, his bowler hat set just right against the sunlight, and kind of holler over. Well, y'all think somebody phoned ahead or telegraphed ahead and let them know we was coming? This looks like a hell of a welcome. I think we might want to approach this a little cautious. Y'all see anything out here on the horizon? And I'm gonna kind of scan as well. Look around, see if there's anything moving around as we approach.
Okay, make me a notice roll. And tell me what you get.
Okay. All right. And if I don't have that, then it's just a straight die roll.
Yeah, it's
correct?
A straight die roll.
Oh, I tell you what, I got some dust in my eye. That is a -4. I rolled all bad.
Okay, so you're scanning around looking for signs of anyone who may have attacked the wagon. Unfortunately, your attention is captured when you spot the wagon, which is on its side. You spot what appears to be a young woman climbing out of the sort of door of the wagon, like onto the top of it. You can see her clothes are torn. She's holding what appears to be a sort of old-looking six-shooter in one shaking hand. Her hair's all in a mess. You can see there's like scratches and blood on her face, and she's literally just climbing out, sort of looking around, a look of panic in her eyes, sort of holding this six-shooter trembling in her hand. She doesn't appear to have spotted you guys yet. You see there's dust all over her face. She's squinting against the beating rays of the midday sun.
Trapper will spur his horse forward.
Okay, as you ride forward, you see blinking her eyes, trying to get the dust out of it. She like, shakily, with both of her hands, points the gun towards you, and she's like, "Get away! Get away!"
Take it easy, miss. We ain't the bad guys.
She calms down as she hears your voice, and she's like, "Oh, thank the Lord! I thought they'd come back to finish me off."
Y'all thought who come back?
Oh,
you know,
it was
Holt
those.
says riding forward.
It was those damnable folk. We were just riding into town, and they attacked our wagon, killed the driver, upturned the wagon. I was inside. They must have missed me or something. I thought they'd come back to. And she breaks down into tears. I thought they'd come back to finish me off. You can see like her hands are shaking quite badly, and she's obviously not really used to holding a gun.
Why don't you set that down there, man? Here, take this. Holcomb rides closer and pulls a pocket square out of his fine 3-piece suit and passes it over to her. I'll make you a right even trade.
You see, she looks a little bit unsure about putting the gun, but eventually you manage to persuade her to sort of like put the gun down. She puts it on the upturned carriage next to herself and takes the square cloth off you and mops her face a little bit. Oh, thank you kindly, sir. And to who do I have the pleasure of addressing? Who are my saviors?
Queen's Wardens, ma'am. Warden Holcomb. These here are my associates. Why don't we see if we could help you on down out of here?
Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask you all to make me an empathy roll and tell me what you get.
Ooh. That would be a 3.
That's a good roll
for me.
That would be a -3 from Chapman.
That's beyond terrible. Obviously, Chapman, you're not really used to picking out the subtle differences in facial expressions. How about yourself, Mandy?
That will be a total of 5 for Miss Mandy as she looks down at this little poor gal.
Indeed, you do find your heart going out to her a little bit, Mandy. I mean, you've seen, obviously, when your saloon burned down, you've seen like women in a state of distress before, and this woman looks like she's been through the ringer. Now, our friend Holcomb, you notice that her eyes narrow a little when you mention that you're wardens, but you don't really notice anything else. Mandy, you notice that she appears to actually be a little bit afraid and a little bit worried, but she covers it very quickly when she hears that you're wardens.
Mandy will just give a little quick smile, says, "It's all right, darling. You just climb up behind Miss Mandy. We'll get you to town safely."
She's like, thank you kindly, Warden. And she, with your help, she climbs onto the back of your horse. You can see she was obviously originally wearing like a sort of typical like saloon gal dress, but it's been torn, it's covered in dirt, there's like splatters of blood on it. However, as she climbs up, you do notice, Warden Mandy, that she actually has like a small sort of strap around her right thigh, and there's a very small knife tucked into the strap.
Mandy would just take note of that. I see you're entertainer.
She says, well, I have done some entertaining in my time, it's true to be said.
Mandy just kind of gives her this knowing look, says, "You aren't the only one. A lot of us women folk do what we have to."
She puts her hand gently on your shoulder, Mandy, and she says, "Since you've been so kind to me, I should warn you all that, Rattlesnake Gulch ain't the kind of town that takes kindly to the presence of lawkeeper wardens, especially. I mean, this is the Outlands, miss. It's the law of the gun out in the Outlands."
Well, that's why we came. You see, now the law of the gun's getting just a little bit too wild for the wildness of the Outlands. So we can settle that on down just a little bit. Take a little bit of your crime out of here. That's what we're here for. Haven't you heard? Modernization. It's spreading.
She smiles and says, well, I wouldn't know anything about modernization or anything like that. At which point, can you please make me an empathy roll, Holcomb?
Yes, of course. Oh, that is a flat 0.
Okay.
Mediocre.
Yeah, as far as you're concerned, she's telling the absolute truth. She doesn't know anything about modernization. She's a simple outland gal. Okay, so you've rescued this woman. However, as you're sort of like getting her up on the horse, etc., in the background you hear this dun 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 of drums some distance off. You think it's coming from behind one of the mesas nearby, and if any of you look over in that direction, you see what appears to be black smoke rising up from the other side of it. Warden Chapman, you would recognize these. This is like the sort of traditional sign that the folk give when they're about to attack or when they're going into a raiding party. They always presage their attack with the beating of drums.
Okay. How far off is the town?
The town, it's going to take you a good 20 minutes to reach on horseback, whereas the mesa's about 10 minutes away.
Okay. Let's move out. Chapman was just about to dismount, have a look at the feathers, but the noise of allays his suspicions. He probably believes it is the folk rather than some sort of ruse.
Okay, well, Warden Chapman, make me a notice roll to see if you've picked up anything from the cursory glance you've given to the scene.
That would be a +1. So.
Okay, you're just about to suggest riding off. You've heard the drums of the folk in the distance. You know what that sound means. When, as you're sort of riding around the side of the carriage, on the base of it, which is now revealed to the sun because it's been turned on its side, you see there appears to be a symbol daubed in blood. It looks like a very crude skull with like a cross sigil daubed across it. Now, you recognize that symbol. You've seen it before. You saw it at the Crimson Ridge Massacre. If you wish, you can make a law roll to see if you know anything else about it.
Surely will. So.
Obviously, don't forget you guys have aspects and fate points that you can use.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, it's stumped. Because of my experience with the folk, I'm getting a +2 to law.
Indeed, you do. No one knows more about the folk than you this side of the Blue Mountains.
Let's see where we go with this. All right, 1, 2, 4. Not
Okay.
5.
Having seen this before with your superb roll, you know that this is a sign used when the folk believe themselves to have been wronged in some way and that they're attacking as a form of retribution towards it. You saw it at the Crimson Ridge Massacre when one of their leaders was accidentally killed by one of your people, and that started the whole conflict. There are great people for believing that if a wrong is done to them, it should be redressed, and if the wrong is severe, it almost becomes like a holy crusade for them to gain retribution for that wrong.
Damn. So what did you people get up to before they attacked, miss? This is a sign of retribution.
Well, my name is Estella Norris. I wouldn't know anything about the folk. I don't have any dealings with them at all. At which point you can all make the empathy rolls. And let me know what you got.
That's just an average for me, just 1.
0.
Okay.
4 for me.
Okay, so Holcomb and Mandy, you both realise that when she says, "Oh, I don't have any dealings with the folk," she's not entirely being honest with you. Obviously, Trapper is far too distracted by looking at this this symbol and thinking back to all the trauma he'd had dealing with the folk. But the two of you are like, she's hiding something. She's not telling the truth.
Well, ma'am, I'm of an inkling to think that sure ain't a dancing tune that they're playing. You want to, I don't know, maybe think back on it a little bit more and see what you can't come up with? Something done pissed them off, pardon my French.
She clings a little closer to Mandy from where she's seated on the back of the horse as she seems to hear the drumming for the first time. And then she's like, I'm being honest with you, Warden. I don't know anything about the folk. I'm just a simple outland girl. Why would I have dealings with their kind?
It may not have been you directly. It might have been someone else you were with. But my women's intuition tells me you know just a bit more than you're saying, little lady.
Okay, at this point, Mandy, can you please make me a provoke roll to see how persuasive you are at getting her to reveal what she knows?
Oh, nice. One of my best stats.
you know how to get the right stuff out of people.
That will be a total of 3.
Okay, that's a good roll. She looks a little bit worried and keeps glancing behind her in the direction this sound's coming from, and then she breaks down in floods of tears and she says, "Look, it's not my fault, Wardens. I didn't want to get involved and mixed up in this whole business. They forced me."
Who forced you?
But Barabas and his men. They pretty much run Rattlesnake Gulch now.
Just as I suspected. I'm gonna have to have me a little sit down with Mr. Barabas, and he won't like it when I get done.
Oh, you want to be careful, Miss. He's got a powerful number of men in Rattlesnake Gulch. But I don't know what he's up to. All I know is he told me in the and she looks down and you see a tear run down her face as she sees her dead companions on the floor. All I know is he told me and the boys we had to bring a wagon into town so we could take his lady's shipment out. But I know that he's had some dealing with the folk. I saw his men bring one of them into town, but beyond that, I swear, Wardens, I don't know anymore. I didn't want to know anymore.
So you say this here fella, he got him a lot of guys?
Oh yeah, he's got a powerful number of men in the town. He pretty much runs the whole place.
Maybe he could grab him a.
I'm sorry, Warden. I was just about to tell you that. Well, we ain't but had even a sheriff in Rattlesnake Gulch for the last part of 2 years. But Barabas has got the whole place under his thumb.
I'll take them odds, and maybe if he gets him a couple dozen more folks, it'll be a fair fight.
No. He's gonna have to get more than a couple dozen. Him and his boys owe me for my saloon.
Okay, so as this conversation is going on, obviously, Trapper Chapman, you're not really involved in this conversation. You're sort of keeping your eyes on that smoke.
I don't do talking.
Indeed, you're more the sort of grizzled, silent type. You notice out from behind the mesa come what appear to be a number of individuals, 4 of them to be precise. They are these incredibly tall, thin-faced, almost ethereally beautiful-looking folk. They're riding on these strange bipedal steeds that look to be half lizard, half like emu, effectively that you know to be like their standard steeds instead of horses. 4 of them come riding out from behind this mesa. 2 of them at the back are carrying burning torches. You can see they're wearing blood daubed as war paint on their exposed flesh. All of them are holding sort of small stone axes. A couple of them you can see have bows that they have arrows notched to, and they appear to be like heading in your direction fast. The drumming intensifies from behind the mesa. Dun, 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 dun.
Make for the town, I'll keep them busy. Yeah.
To your right, Trapper.
Andy nods, says, "Well, thank you kindly, sir. I'll be sure to remember that." And she just hills, digs her heels right in the side of her person. Hey!
Okay, so with a cry, Holcomb and Mandy, along with the young lady Estella, gallop off towards the town, kicking up dust behind them, leaving Trapper sat on his trusty horse, Shirley, facing these oncoming 4 folk. As they start getting a bit nearer, the 2 with bows notch their arrows and fire them in your direction, Trapper. So I'm going to make an attack roll for them. Okay, that's a good roll, so a +3. Do you want to make a defense roll, Trapper?
Sure.
And how are you planning to defend against it?
I'm going to ride at 90 degrees I'm trying to lead them off. So
okay, so it sounds more like a ride roll for defense, because you're obviously trying to gallop and avoid it. So make your defense roll.
Yeah, I don't think my my warden's ability really applies in this instance. So let's go. Let's go ride. Okay. Right. Yeah. That is a total of 3, so it's a draw then. Okay,
so you don't get hit by any of these like 2 arrows that arc in your direction, whistling through the air. As they get nearer, you hear this sort of screaming sound from the arrows. You know that the folk like notch and carve their arrows, so as it whistles through the air, it makes this noise to terrify their opponents. One of the arrows goes and just misses your hat by like a centimeter. One of them hits into the flank of your horse. You feel Shirley sort of like dip down a little bit at the back, although she's still moving, but you can see the arrow sticking out of her flank.
Well, that changes things a little. Okay. I'm going to wheel around, and in the best traditions of Rooster Cockburn, I shall ride at them.
Okay, no problems. You
range in mouth.
Okay, make a shoot roll. I'll do that defense roll.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a 6.
Okay, so describe how you take out 2 of these folk who are riding towards you on these bipedal steeds.
Yeah, the scream of the horse's pain. He wheels around. Don't worry, my dear. You'll be okay. Grab the reins, put them in my teeth. More of a smile than a grimace. Draw my 2 guns, the cross draw, and just take 2 of them out. Yeah.
Okay. As you say, there's a as you fire off your 2 pistols, your shots hit dead center into the chest of the 2 leading folk. They let out strangled, gasping cries and topple to their mounts. The mounts just continue riding off into the distance. However, that leaves 2 of them still riding towards you. The 2 are holding the torches. They drop the torches into the sand, and after a few moments, there's a as the torches go out. You see both of them pull out these stone axes as they sort of reach you. Now, we cut across to Holcomb and Mandy. Obviously, you guys are somewhat in the distance now. You've been galloping hard. You're just getting to the edge of Rattlesnake Gulch. As you look back in the distance, you see Holcomb. Sorry, you see a trapper with the reins between his teeth. Takes out 2 of these folk with the practiced, smooth skill you'd expect from a master gun fighter. 2 of them hit the sands, their blood leaking into the sand, but you can see the other 2 are riding around him, sort of starting to circle him.
Oh boy, that man always puts on a hell of a show. Pardon my French, Miss Mandy. And you know, as we kind of ride into town, Holcomb will kind of slow up or pull his horse up to a quick stop and kind of hop off, pull one of his pistols out and just kind of stand watching and waiting. You know, pretty sure that Trapper is going to be able to hold his own, but if he comes running back and there's maybe some pursuers, Holcomb's just going to be kind of at the ready.
Okay, no problems. Mandy, as you reach the outskirts of town, you can see Holcomb jumping off his horse. He ties it up on the small post that's there, pulls his pistol out and stands ready. Mandy, obviously, you've got Estella on the back of your horse. What are you doing at this point in time?
She's gonna ride further in towards the big building that looks an awful lot like a saloon from her experience.
Indeed. And as you're riding closer, you can hear like the sounds of a tinkling piano from inside the saloon.
And she'd put Rain up her style help Estella down pour out her little a nice little spot. It goes, my dear, you might want to go inside. For now, maybe have you a calming drink.
Okay, Estella seems to be like 2 steps ahead of you. She's already slid down off the side of the horse. However, instead of like walking inside or like running inside shouting the folk are coming, she actually runs into the saloon and she's like, the Wardens are here! The Wardens are here! And like runs inside to this saloon. But for the moment, we're going to cut back to Trapper. Trapper, these 2 folk have reached you now. They are going to attack you with their stone axes, so I'll make an attack roll for them. Okay, so that's a fair roll, a +2 roll. Would you like to make a defense roll? And how are you defending?
Okay, I fired my guns, so I've used the range ability of them. So now I'll just use them to defend against these tomahawks or whatever they're using.
Okay, go for it.
And just ride between them, so they're both coming at me. So it's a ooh, that's not too good. That's actually, yeah, that's a 2. So.
Okay, so that's absolutely fine. You've drawn with them. So as they both ride either side of you and swing out with these tomahawks, you basically ride between them. And at the last moment, you sort of slide sideways in your saddle. The axes whistle a few inches over your head and you pull yourself back up on your horse. Now, I'd like to suggest a compel here for you, Trapper Chapman. Since you're a grizzled veteran of the Wardens, I'd like to suggest that perhaps one of these folk is actually one of the folk who was involved in the Crimson Ridge Massacre, and he has recognized you. It's up to you whether you accept or you can pay a fate point and not accept it.
I'll accept that as our eyes lock and the recognition dawns.
Okay, so I'll give you an extra fate point. There we go. Okay, so as you sort of ride between these 2 folk, you see that what you presume to be the leader, who is wearing feathers and skins and has a much more ornately carved axe. You recognize, having seen him, although he was much younger, at the Crimson Ridge Massacre. You know that he was one of the ones who called for retribution when their leader was killed. Your eyes lock for a few seconds, and in a slightly halting voice, he just says, Chapman.
At your service.
He pulls his steed to a halt and he says, this is none of your concern, Chapman. Our business is not with you. If you leave here now, you may escape with your hide.
Afraid I can't do that.
Again, he sort of growls and he says, we are the wrongs party here. Retribution is our right.
Give me a day. I'll try. Chapman's old. I did say earlier he was set in his ways, but these he's trying. He's going to try and submerge his hatred of the folk. So I'll pay you a fate to avert the compulsion for his hatred of the folk.
Okay.
So he will parlay with them. Not quite the pipe of peace if they do it, but
go ahead.
So I'll put his guns away as a sign gesture of peace and say,
as you put your gun away, the second of the folks raises his axe ready to go in, but the leader just like holds his hand up, and he sort of stays his hand. At least that leader seems willing to at least listen momentarily to what you're saying.
sorry about you, man. I'll just jerk my thumb back at the two dead bodies lying on the ground.
He shakes his head and he says, such things happen.
Can you hold off for 24 hours? I have a mission.
He says, I do not care for your mission. One of the people in your town has murdered and killed mine. Therefore, retribution is owed to us. And he thumps his chest again.
I understand. We could finish it here now between the two of us, but I'm giving you a chance to live like you give me a chance to live.
Okay, at this point, make me a rapport roll.
Really? Oh, 2.
Okay, he looks at you and he says, my people, my band, we are pledged to gain retribution for those of our kind who have been murdered by your kind in this place. And he sort of gestures with his head in like a dismissive fashion towards Rattlesnake Gulch. You are a warrior, Chapman. Surely you understand that blood needs blood. If you wish to settle this now, we will not settle it with your guns. We will settle this in the fashion of my people. And he says something to his comrade in a language you don't understand, the language of the folk. And then he slides down off his horse. And you see as he does so, he's like taking off his like harness and his gear. He throws his axe down with a thud. It sticks in the sand. He leaves his bow on his steed and he gestures towards you to climb down off your horse.
Well, looks like the time for talking's over. I shall slightly tempted to draw my guns and blow him away, but I'll slip down off after a second's pause, in which he will probably realise that went through my mind.
You slide down off your horse and he says,
yeah.
Know that I have always respected your skills as a warrior, Chapman. I will regret the necessity of killing you.
Well, I'm an old man, but I'm not that old.
At which point he leaps for you with his bare hands and he's going to try and strangle you or sort of beat you with his bare hands. So I'm making an attack roll for him. Okay, that is a superb roll from me, so that's a +5.
Okay. Well, I shall meet him as he attacks me, so I shall try and grapple him as well. It's just going to be strangling each other, I guess.
Make your defense roll.
That would be a...
The most likely is a fight roll at this point in time.
Yeah. The fight is... 3... No, a 3. So
okay, so he's beat you. So you will take 2 stress from that. Now you can tick your number 2 stress box to like soak that effectively, or you could take a consequence if you prefer. But if you take a consequence, you will gain an aspect to represent your injury. You get stress back at the end of each encounter because that's like nicks and minor bruising, whereas a consequence stays with you probably for the entire game because it's like a lasting injury, like a broken arm or a leg or something.
Yeah. I'll take the stress. I think takes a good grip of my throat.
Yeah, he's grasping your throat with his hand. You can see the muscles bulging on his arms as he sort of forces you down to the sand. Your head hits the sand. You're lying in a pool of blood spilt by one of the earlier deaths, and he's squeezing the life out of you.
Well, flashback time. As he remembers all those bodies that piled up around him from the massacre. I won't join them just yet. And I'll push at one side and then suddenly try and flip him over.
Okay, now you said you're remembering the massacre. Does that mean you're using a fate point?
Yep.
Okay.
I shall. I'm a grizzle. Oh. Yeah. I don't think I've got anything that actually.
I'd say you could probably use a grizzle
grizzle
veteran or the warden, because obviously you'll have been in a lot of combat.
Yeah, I use that one. So the others don't really apply. But yep. Okay, spend a fate to point. And here we go. Blimey, that's a good one. Oh, it's a 7.
Okay, so you've nearly taken him out. He's still going, but only just. So describe how you managed to flip him and you gain the upper hand.
Yep. I start pushing on one side with one arm, and he leans back on that side, and just taking him by surprise, I shift my weight, shift the pressure, so he topples over using his own body weight, and I get on top. And I've just roll over, slip down on his throat with my elbow, forearm.
You hear a choked gasp as you plant your elbow in his throat. You see the remaining member of his band sort of reaches for his axe again, but despite the fact he's being choked out, the folk leader holds up his hand and goes, "No!" At which point the other folk steps back. Okay, so he's going to basically try and sink his fingers like into your eyes to get you off him. However, that is a terrible roll for me, a -2. So if you'd like to make a defense roll.
That's a 6.
Okay, yeah. So he reaches up to try and grab your eyes, but you just like with your free hand just like, bat his hands away. Over to you. You can see he's like choking. His face is turning like a slightly bluish color as he's like.
Well, this is what I wanted, so I shall continue.
Okay, make your fight roll.
Yep, there was a momentary flash of compassion across Trapper's eyes as he saw the man wave his warrior away, but one less folk makes the world a better place. So let's get rid of this guy. Oh dear, that's a 8.
Okay, so you can finish this guy off. So describe how you finish him.
I'll just stare into his eyes as the light there slowly fades. He chokes out. His limbs go limp. And
indeed, it's the last act as he sort of you see the realization dawning in his eyes that he's done. He reaches up with a shaking hand, not to try and push you away, but he just sort of like takes hold of the side of your face, and he says, "Promise me one thing, Chapman. Avenge my people."
Damn.
And his hand flops lifelessly to the sand. The remaining folk warrior looks at you with absolute burning hatred in his eyes, Chapman. The only thing holding him back seems to be the word of his leader and the sort of pledge that was given. He looks at you, turns his steed around, looks back over his shoulder, and he says, "My people will not forget your name, Chapman." And then he digs his heels into his steed and gallops off back towards the mesa, leaving you alone on top of the body of this dead folk chief.
I place my right hand across his heart and say, "You fought well, a grey eagle. I will agree. I will look after your folk as much as it pains me." I push myself up off his chest, get back to my feet, and go and have a look at Shirley.
Okay, as you look at Shirley, luckily for you, the wound doesn't appear to be a serious one. You remove the arrow from her flank. You think that she's probably not going to be up to her full galloping speed, but given enough time, she will recover.
Okay. Yep. Put my leg in my foot in the stirrup and swing myself up and come on. I'll head towards the others.
You ride off towards the town. Okay, we jump back to Holcomb and Mandy in the town. As I say, this young woman has just run off shrieking that the wardens are coming into the saloon. You see a slightly portly looking man wearing a waistcoat and a small bowler hat comes out through the swing doors of the saloon onto the little wooden veranda outside of it. And he looks up and down and he says, "Wardens, you say? We ain't got no time for your folk around here, Wardens."
Yeah, Holcomb will turn back around from where he was watching, where he's watching the current fight happening, out there in the country. Turns around and kind of tips his hat. "Well, that's right, fine, because we didn't bring no time for you. We're here for some other kind of stuff that, well, for now you don't have to worry about."
"Well, I don't know what no trouble, Wardens. I'm the mayor of this here town."
"Oh, Mr. Mayor, I assure you there should be no trouble for you. That is unless you've put your hands into the wrong pies."
"Well, you can call me Your Honor, son. Clayton Ford, Esquire, is my name."
"Oh, Your Honor, Clayton Ford, Esquire. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Warren Holcomb." And he kind of tips the hat all the way off a little bit. "Say now, I'm sensing there's a little bit of discomfort and hostility. Now, we're just regular traveling folks. How about we start this over on a friendlier manner? Maybe over a drink or a game of cards."
As you're talking to him, his attention appears to have wandered across to Mandy, who stood next to you, and he's like, "And who is this enchanting creature here that you brought with you, Warden?"
"Oh, why, this here is Miss Mandy Bailey." And Holcomb's going to go over and help her down off the horse, making a big show of it because she is the distraction.
The mayor takes his hat off and he's like, "My pleasure, ma'am."
And I'm going to invoke the quick smile and quicker wits. And I've hidden my among my gown almost as soon as the girl went in shouting.
That's absolutely fine. You don't need to spend a fate point or make a roll to do that. You've got plenty of time. Easily.
And then I just, the pleasure's mine, kind sir.
He takes your hand and he kisses it and he goes, "Well, it's been a long time since Rattlesnake Gulch has seen such an enchanting beauty as yourself."
Oh, you do flatter me kindly.
"It would be my honor, miss, if you and your companion would come and join me for a small libation in my hair saloon."
Your saloon, you do say?
"Well, not mine per se, but I am the mayor of this town."
Well, I must admit, I do like men who can get things done.
He takes your hand and he starts leading you.
Her eyes, and I think a drink would do much to soothe this hair parched throat of mine.
Okay, so he leads the two of you in. It's a fairly sort of standard looking saloon. There's a person playing the piano in the corner. There's small round wooden tables. It appears to have a second floor. There's like a little balcony overlooking it. There's a parcel of various trail folk and townsfolk all sat around the table. Some are playing cards, some are listening to the music, some are talking amongst themselves. However, as you guys walk in, the conversation just abruptly dies away and everyone turns to look at the door.
I just go by. This is a mighty decent saloon. Been a while since I've been in one like this.
Oh, why, you do me a kindness, man. He looks over the bar and clicks his fingers and says, Miss Elizabeth, a couple of your finest shots of gulping whiskey for my two new friends here. At which point the woman behind the counter sort of like rolls her eyes, nods. She sticks 3 little shot glasses down and puts a bottle of whiskey next to it. The mayor, Mr. Ford, pours a couple of whiskey glasses for yourselves, one for him, and then he very gently with his 2 fingers holds out one of these little glasses towards Warden Mandy.
Why, thank you. She'll take it and just sort of sip on it. And she looks over to Miss Elizabeth, goes, why, what a pleasant establishment you got here, ma'am.
She sort of like looks at you a bit and says, yeah, it's all right, isn't it?
I wonder, just who keeps such a fine place?
She was Miss Elizabeth looks at you and she says, why, this is my establishment, miss.
Yes, you just say. I must respect that. Not every woman is as talented and suitable or for business.
Well,
and she just gives Miss Elizabeth this knowing look, like she knows exactly what it takes.
Miss Elizabeth smiles back at you, and then next to her, she put the whiskey bottle on the bar. She puts a very small bottle of what you think is some sort of expensive liqueur. She just like puts it on the bar next to the whiskey bottle, nods at you, and goes back to polishing some glasses. Now, I'd like to offer you a compel now, Mandy. Now, since you've got a grievance with Barabas and his crew because they burnt down your saloon, I'd like to offer a compel suggesting that you recognize one of the people in this saloon as being one of Barabas's men who was involved with the burning down of your saloon. Now, obviously, you can accept that and take a fate point, or you can pay a fate point and go, no, I don't fancy that.
I think I'll accept it.
Okay, that's great. So I'll add you a fate point. There we go. You now have 4. So as you're having this delightful conversation with Miss Elizabeth, you hear a chair pushed back from a table, and you see a gruff-looking fellow. He's wearing 2 guns on his belt, wearing a typical trail hat, a sort of rustic waistcoat. You see him, he starts to head towards the door. As he does so, his eyes meet yours briefly, and you remember seeing this fellow across the flames of your saloon as it burned. It's quite obvious that he's recognized you.
I just turn to Holcomb and say, the die been cast, sir. And kind of give a little nod over to the guy I recognize. I goes, that's one you might want to talk to there.
Holcomb kind of gives her a nod and slugs back, his 3rd shot, sets the cup down and yanks the bottle, tosses a couple coins down on the bar, and starts kind of little quick stepping over towards the door. Hey now there, partner. You just getting up and leaving? We're about to get a game started up here. Like, you seemed like you were doing all right, but let me show you a hot new card game that we're playing back east. You're going to love it. Why don't you come back in here and have a sit down for a spell? Share this little bottle with me.
Make me a provoke roll. See if you manage to persuade this guy.
All right. Oh, that is just going to be a 1. Just an average.
You see him pause for a few moments as though he's considering it. Then he says, I ain't got no time for your games. I got business to take care of. And he sort of pushes through the door and starts heading out. Coincidentally, this is about the same time that Chapman arrives outside the arrives in the town and obviously sees the horses, realizes you guys have gone into the saloon. So Chapman, you're just sort of walking up to the door of the saloon when, as it sort of flops open, you see this fellow, this sort of like grizzled fellow with his hat on heading out. You see him pause and turn around and go, I ain't got time for your games. I got business to take care of. And you can see over his shoulder, Holcomb stood there talking to him.
And seeing Chapman kind of ride up, Holcomb kind of makes a quick motion, points at his eye, and, you know, motions towards the guy. And kind of follows out the door. You sure you ain't got time for a couple of hands?
I said so, didn't I? And he sort of like does that with his hat towards you, Trapper. He's like, Warden, and goes to walk past you.
All right. And Holcomb will stroll right on out with the bottle still and kind of take another pull off it, pass it up to Trapper. Keep your whistle wet. Yeah, Mandy don't right like that fellow and thinks we might want to have a little talk with him.
Right. Hey.
You see, he stops and he turns around. You see one hand hovering over his gun.
That's a bad idea. We just want to talk.
I know what kind of talking and trouble Wardens bring. Say your piece.
Come back inside where it's more comfortable.
As I told your companion, I got business to take care of. I ain't got time to be lollygagging around in saloons drinking with the likes of you.
I was talking about playing cards. Who said anything about drinking?
Can't play no cards without drinking.
What are you in a rush to get off to? I mean, you seemed like you was sitting mighty fine for a spell.
You see his hands sort of like moving a little bit towards his gun. He's like, I done told you I got business to take care of.
Let's keep your hands up nice and easy and loose. Unless you want to jerk that smoke wagon and find out what happens.
He sort of moves his hand away from his guns and then he says, all right, then I see you're not to be persuaded. He reaches inside his coat, just like gently, obviously not reaching for a gun or anything. You see he takes out like a small snuff box from his inside waistcoat pocket. I take it you don't mind if I partake of a little pinch of snuff.
You want some snuff? You take some snuff. I prefer a cigar myself. Never could get past that burning tingling in my nose.
He reaches inside the pouch and he sort of like brings his head towards it and you hear him go. Okay, at this point, Chapman and Holcomb, can you please make me notice rolls?
Yeah.
Yep. As the player, I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Holcomb's a whole other story. Oh, nope. Holcomb is oblivious. I rolled an even 0.
What about you, Chapman?
I got a notice. Straight 0 as well.
Okay, he takes a few like of his snuff, and then you notice he sort of his head falls back a little bit. He drops the silver snuff box onto the sand, and his whole body seems to be shaking as though it's afflicted with some sort of palsy. As the small snuff box hits the sand, you see what appears to be this red sand sort of trickle out of the side of it.
Oh, hell. Boy. Knowing the stories, or from what we know of Red, I think Holcomb is going to attempt to be a little quick on the draw and shoot him in the knee.
Okay, go for it. Make your shoot roll.
Okay, and I'd like to, if I can, spend the fate point for the quick on the draw.
You most certainly can.
Boom. Nice little quasi impressiveness. Nothing compared to Trapper, but a little something. That's going to be a 2 for me. Just fair.
Okay, so your shot is sort of great.
That gives a +2 for the thing, right? So yeah, that's actually a total of 4 then. I apologize.
Okay, so you hit this guy and you've taken him out. Yeah. Now you said you were shooting him to like disable him. So
Yeah, just hobble him, shoot him in the knee.
You hit him in the knee, it blows out his kneecap. There's a loud you hear like you don't hear like a cry of pain from him, almost as though he doesn't seem to feel it, but he falls down to one knee. As he does, you notice that like smoke has started rising from his skin, and his eyes appear to have taken like a bloodshot red look. As he sort of like holds out his hands, he doesn't seem to have noticed the pain of his like leg. He's looking at his hands. You see like small flames start to like flicker around his fingers.
Oh, hell.
There's a fire starter.
While this is going on, what's Mandy up to? Obviously, you can hear this commotion and ruckus outside.
Well, Mandy's inside at the moment with this expensive liquor chatting up the mayor. I do believe I've seen that man that just left before.
The man looks at you and he says, "Oh, you mean Jasper? Well, why? He's been in this town for must be the last 2 years or so. Came in with a whole group of new settlers, man."
Must she thinks back? Goes, that sounds about right. I must have met him in passing, probably on his way here.
The mayor opens his mouth to reply to you, and then you hear this from outside, and looking through the door, you can see the smoking gun of Holcomb. You see this guy fall to the ground, his knee blown out, and this smoke starts rising from him, and flames start collecting around his open hands.
Oh, dear me. What the?
The mayor's like, "Oh, sweet Lord of mercy." And then in a quieter voice, which he obviously didn't want you to hear, but you pick up on it because you're so close to him, he goes, "Oh, my Lord, not another one."
Another one? Right, what's going on here? I don't believe I've ever seen anything like that.
Okay, make me a provoke roll, please, Mandy. And I'm going to give you a +2 to it since you're so well in with the mayor.
So that will actually be a +1 total.
Okay, as the mayor sort of says, "Oh, not another one," and you say, "Oh, wow, whatever do you mean?" You notice that the mayor sort of glances at like the door to like the back room of the saloon, and he's got like a look of worry on his face as he does so, but he quickly hides it and looks back at you. And he's like, "Oh, we've just had a bit of trouble, miss, so nothing for you to worry your pretty little head about."
Trouble? Oh no. I do hope I'm safe with you.
"Don't worry, miss," and he puts his arm around you. "I'll keep you safe, nothing for you to worry about." And then we're going to cut back to the two outside. You can see like the flames around this guy's hand are like spread, so they're covering much of his arms, although they don't appear to have burnt him. He tries to stand back up, but he sort of falls over awkwardly on his side because of his knee being blown out. He sort of holds out a hand to steady himself, and as he goes like that, you see what appears to be like a gout of flame comes out of his hand. It just hits the sand in front of him. He looks almost as surprised as you guys when this happens, but then he like brings his hands back around as he's sort of like lying on his side on the ground, and like a big smile, like a sort of like a drug-addled smile, almost though he's not really here, he doesn't know what's going on. This big like shit-eating grin just spreads across his face, and then he turns back to look at you guys.
Mm-hmm. Don't do it, mister.
He looks at you, and in a sort of deep, gruff voice, he shouts out, he says, "I ain't letting the Wardens take me in." And he throws his hand out towards Holcomb, and a gout of flame bursts out towards you, Holcomb, where you're stood in front of the inn. So I'm going to make a roll for him. Okay, how do you plan to defend against this, Holcomb, assuming you do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to have to... Because I actually was not expecting that he was going to. I mean, I wasn't expecting he was actually going to be using red right now. So there is no setting aspect or anything that I can take. I think I'm just going to try and jump out of the way. Will be the best option for me.
That will be an athletics roll to defend.
Oh no, that is going to give me just a 1.
Okay, so you throw yourself out of the way. You only take 1 stress, so you can just tick your number 1 stress box for that. The flame scorches you as it passes by, as you like throw yourself onto the veranda. However, the flame continues its arc past you. It hits the wooden framework of the saloon, which quickly catches fire, quicker than you'd expect. Normally, it's almost like this flame is like a living, hungry thing. Within like a few seconds, the frontage of the saloon is all aflame. So I'm going to put the scene aspect of everything is on fire.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, I had a thought for a moment, but I'm saving it.
Oh, that's fine. What was your thought?
Oh no, I was thinking. I think I'm going to save that.
Okay,
that thought.
That's absolutely fine. So he's done his attack. Obviously, Trapper and Holcomb. It's over to you now. Obviously, Mandy inside. You will see that the front of the inn has caught fire. People are starting to like shout and like jump up out of their seats. You can hear the ruckus and the commotion from behind you inside the inn. Trapper and Holcomb. What are the two of you going to do?
I intend to shoot the man dead in the street.
Okay, go for it.
So, having warned him, well, suggested he didn't do that.
It's true, you gave him fair warning.
With a sigh, draw my guns again and...
Okay, make your shoot roll. Tell me what you get. I'm going to roll his defense. I'm going to give him a minus. It's athletics, but I'll give him a -2 because his legs have been blown out. So unless you do very poorly, you've probably hit him here. Since I'm on a -2.
Yeah, that's a +6.
Okay, now it is certainly within your power to like shoot this man that's stone dead, if that is what you wish. You can take him out of action and render him no longer a threat in any way you see fit with your gun. So describe how it goes down. You've drawn your guns.
Okay, knowing a little bit about anatomy, physiology, I'll disable his arms, take out his muscles, so he's got no coordination. So I'll shoot his shoulders, 1 bullet in each shoulder, so he just flops back on the ground, staring up with his crazy grin.
Okay, you shoot him in both of the shoulders. He's no longer a threat. His arms fall down uselessly as the bullets penetrate muscle and the connecting tissue. You can see he's sort of lying there flopping like a gutted fish on the sand. His eyes staring unblinkingly up into the beating midday sun. These bloodshot veins in his eyes. You see sort of thrashing around a little, and the smoke that started to come out of his body has started to get blacker and darker. And these flames have started to like appear on his body now, and he now actually looks like he's panicking, and he's like,
I think since he was kind of knocked down, Holcomb's gonna yell back into the saloon, "Hey y'all, get out here with some buckets!"
A couple of people from inside the saloon run out with buckets and anything they can grab hold of, dunk it into the horse trough outside and throw water onto this guy. It seems to quench the flames that were starting to blacken his skin, and he sort of flops down exhausted but no longer on fire.
Okay, oh yeah, then Holcomb grabs a bucket and starts throwing it on the front of the saloon. Unless it looks like that's too far gone. Is that fire really just tearing up the wood?
It's catching quite quickly. However, it's only been a few moments, so there's a possibility you could put it out at this stage. So if you want to make me an athletics roll, and this is basically just to see whether you get to it quickly enough to put it out.
All right,
I will tell you you're going to need a good roll to do this, so that's a +3.
all right. Ooh, I'm rolling straight dice.
Obviously,
Here,
you've got fate points if you have an aspect that's applicable.
Yep. Well, I think I have a warden power that might be applicable. I think I'll take the price that will be exacted. But I think in this game of chance, I have a pretty good chance of making it to this fire in time.
Okay, that's fine. In which case, if you're using your power, you do not need to make a roll, because what you're doing is you'll be influencing it, so the fire just happens not to spread as quickly, giving you time to get there. Obviously, you'll get the downside that some situation is automatically going to go against you later in the scene. But luckily for you, the flames appear to have actually hit first a small wooden part of the saloon that is like surrounded by like a metal window framework. And obviously the metal doesn't catch as the wood does. So you run over with your bucket, you throw it on the fire. There's a and white steam drifts up as you put the fire out. And I'll remove that. Everything is on fire aspect. You can see like people are sort of stood out in the streets of looking around. The mayor has wandered out by now. He looks over at you and he says, well, thank you kindly, Warden. I fear if it weren't for your quick and speedy actions, why the whole of Miss Elizabeth's establishment could have gone up and been consumed in the flames.
That'd have been something awful. So, do y'all want to tell me again who this fella is? I mean, he's been hanging around here clearly. Can you have any information on this gentleman?
He says, "Wow."
Not knowing that Madam or Miss Mandy had already discovered this.
He says, "Why? No, I simply know he was Jasper by name. He was a drifter. Came into town 2 years ago now. However, in light of your heroic actions, I'd be delighted if yourselves," and he gestures at Chapman and yourself, Holcomb, "if yourselves and your enchanting companion will join me in my room in the saloon for a private drink."
We can do that. We're going to want to talk to that fellow Jasper, though.
Miss Mandy, I believe, would be kind of in the doorway. Says, "No need, Holcomb. I know who he is."
Yes, ma'am.
However, and she looks at the mayor, says, "I do think we'll be obliged to join you, but I need a moment with my associates and then to freshen up."
Oh, I entirely understand.
And she gives him this ring, like, he knows what's up. She's playing the mayor for all he's got.
He says, "I entirely understand, ma'am. I will be inside the main bar of the saloon whenever your lovely self and your companion should choose to join me. And then we will go for some private drinks in more civilized surroundings." And he smiles widely at you and waddles his way back into the saloon with the of the doors, leaving the three of you alone. Most of the people have sort of started to like drifting away to various buildings or back into the saloons. A couple are still like, looking at this like exhausted fellow, no longer smoking, lying on the sands.
She walks up to Holcomb and Chapman goes, "That is Jasper. He's one of Barabas' men who burned down my saloon. I'm glad to see he's gotten a small measure of the pain he's caused me."
You want we should shoot him again, ma'am? And then Holcomb kind of notices the char on his suit. "Oh, hell. I'm ready to shoot him again for that. This is one of my finest suits. This was imported silk and wool blend from England."
"Imported silk, you do say? Well, he definitely deserves anything you care to give him, long as you give him one for me too.
A couple of the people who were sort of standing around have moved towards Jasper, like looking at like, oh, we probably shouldn't leave him here, and they're sort of looking like, oh, what's the best way to like pick him up? They're sort of like looking over him.
Stay away from that dust. I'll say. Step forward.
One says, oh, we weren't going to have anything to do with that. Warden, we were just going to take older Jasper here and get him out of this hot midday sun.
Yep, in the jail. Direct me to the jail.
They point over to this building, and it's like one of the most dilapidated buildings in Rattlesnake Gulch. Obviously not been used for some time. It's like the wooden paneling's falling away. There's like holes in the walls. It looks as though it could like barely contain liquid, never mind a prisoner. But they sort of nod and they're like, oh, right, you are, Warden, right? And they sort of like pick Jasper up between the two of them. They start carrying / dragging him towards this dilapidated looking jail.
Yeah, I'll glance back to the other two and say, I'll see if I can ensconce him in there safely, and then I'll be with you shortly. I'll try and keep him alive for the time being.
Mandy will give him a nod, says, well, welcome, so we go back inside. I'd rather not be left alone with the mayor.
Right you are, ma'am. Allow me to get the door.
She is my I owe that. Oh, come says, why, thank you.
Okay, so the two of you head back inside. Chapman, you head over to this dilapidating jail. It's pretty much like a one-cell affair. You can see that the actual sort of planking around the jail appears to be fairly secure. There's like iron bars in front of it. The two people drag Jasper in there, and then one of them looks at you and he's like, well, what do you want to do now, Warden? I ain't got a key for that cell.
I'll look round. Are there any shackles or anything? Cuffs that can actually cuff him to the steel bars.
Okay, you don't find any shackles. However, if you look around behind like a crumbling old desk, you do see a single key on a metal ring hanging on a hook on the wall.
Aha. This might be the key. Step aside. Open up the door.
Yep, you open it up and they drag Jasper inside and sort of drop him down on the dirty cot that's in there. And they're like, well, if you don't need us for anything else, Warden, we should be getting back to our affairs and all.
Yep, thank you for your assistance.
Oh, well, no problems, Warden. And they make themselves scarce, leaving you with the sort of dazed and confused Jasper. Well, very injured Jasper.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the next thing. Try and find the dock.
You have the key to the cell.
Don't go away, I'll say, and lock the door.
He's like, and you lock the door behind you. Okay, what do you do then?
Pocket the key and head over to the saloon.
Okay, so you head over to the saloon. You catch up with Holcomb, Miss Mandy, and the mayor as they're just about to head upstairs to his room at the inn for a private drink. The mayor has taken Mandy by the hand again, and he's like just leading her to the bottom of the wooden stairs. You can see he appears, whilst you guys are out of the saloon, he appears to have made some attempt to like smooth his hair down and sort of brush off his clothing to appear as acceptable as possible. And as you walk in, Trapper is just saying, well, my quarters aren't quite the Ritz, miss, but they should be quieter for civilized folk like ourselves to have a small drink. And obviously, just as you guys are about to head up the stairs with the mayor, you see Chapman coming back in.
I do believe it will do quite nicely. And she makes this big sweeping motion with her gown as she turns to follow the mayor, obviously trying to get Chapman's attention.
I'm with you.
Okay, so as you guys walk up the stairs, led by the mayor, Clayton Ford, you're passed by another figure walking down. He has a scar down one side of his face. He's wearing typical trail clothes. As he walks past, he goes, "Your Honor." And then he says, "Oh, having conversations with the Wardens, are you, Your Honor?" At which point the mayor looks like a little bit worried. And he's like, "Oh, just a friendly drink between civilized people. Nothing untoward going on, I assure you." At which point this person's like, "Well, just remember who really runs this town, Mayor." And he carries on walking past down the stairs. At which point the mayor, as this guy goes past, the mayor's like, "If you follow me, my quarters are just up here." He leads you to a...
Holcomb's going to kind of eye that guy, kind of see where he goes as he's following everyone up the stairs.
The guy walks down the saloon, walks straight through it, and heads out of the doors. As you watch him through the windows of the saloon, you see he appears to be heading around the side of the building. The mayor shows you into a small room. It's fairly nicely furnished for the time. There's a nice looking bed in the corner, a small round table, a couple of three-legged stools. You can see there's what looks to be an expensive bottle of spirits, a very fine whiskey, sat on the table. There's a few glasses there. Obviously, a few drinks have been had in this room. The mayor gestures to the seat and says, "Won't you all join me, Wardens, in a convivial libation?"
That sounds mighty kind and agreeable. But if it's no offense to you, I think I might prefer to stand. It has been a long day sitting on the back of that there pony.
As you wish.
And Holcomb will kind of go stand over by the window, kind of giving a quick little peek out, and kind of half turn his attentions back into the room.
Okay, as you're peeking out of the window, Holcomb, you see this fellow who passed you on the stairs with the scar heads around the side of the building, and he appears to re-enter it by a rear entrance. Okay, meanwhile, the rest of you are... The mayor has gestured to the seats.
I assume when you invited the Wardens to sit, you meant to include little old me as well.
Why, of course, I thought that went without saying, Miss Mandy.
So sit down, making sure she has another seat like right by her, and kind of pat as it goes. Now sit on that down and tell me what that comment was all about, won't you?
Okay, are you referring to the comment that the person on the stairs made?
Yeah.
Okay, make me a provoke roll.
Chapman will stay by the door, standing.
Okay, and my provokes +4, so that will be 5. And would this fall under report?
Yep.
So +2 would be a +7.
Whew. Nice. Okay, so with that epic persuasion roll you made, the mayor's sort of resistance crumbles. He can't resist that pretty face looking up at him with those innocent eyes and asking him this question. He flops down into one of the stalls. You can see he's sweating quite profusely. He takes off his hat and puts it next to him, runs a hand through his thinning, graying hair, and he says, "Oh, Wardens, you've no idea how glad I am to see you in this town. Everything's gone all to hell ever since Barabas and his men came into town. We don't have much in the way of law keepers here, and they've pretty much taken over the town. That fellow you saw us pass on the stair, that was Edgar, one of Barabas's right-hand men."
I see. And she looks over at the Wardens and says, I assume you two are ready. Yeah, this Barabas fellow wants to cause some trouble.
Well,
Let's be sure to leave a piece of him for later on me.
well, I don't know about that, miss. All I know is he's pretty much taken over the town. He's running that powder, whatever it is, out of the back of the saloon. He brought an old fella in with him with a bald head, gray hair, and they've been running that stuff up. But I'm just a simple town mayor. I don't have the guns or the knowledge to oppose a fella like that. At least not with all the hired guns he's got with him.
So now, are they doing any of this business right here in Miss Elizabeth's establishment? So I find it peculiar that gentleman would walk himself right out the front of the saloon and circle around and come right back in the back door.
All I know is they're running it out of one of the back rooms of the saloon. They threaten there'll be all hell to pay if anyone tried talking to the law or anyone tried fleeing from the town. And one of us tried it, and he was quickly put down. The rest of us are too afraid to go against him. He's got a powerful number of men working for him. Well, you saw outside what happened, what that powder can do. We daren't raise a hand against him.
Yes, I've seen what the powder can do firsthand. And let me tell you, it doesn't have pleasant effects for ladies who come in contact with its users. And she gives them all an urban look. It goes, if you forgive me for being rather blunt, but this situation needs to be fixed.
It don't do so well in contact with a fine silk suit either. Holcomb kind of picks at his burnt spots again.
I entirely agree, says the mayor. This situation does need to be resolved. Well, what can we do? We're just simple folk hereabouts, and we've all been too afraid of our lives to do anything. And then there was that strange person they brought into town. Just after they arrived, I ain't seen him since. I don't even know what's going on with that.
Well, if you was a gambling man, I would say you bet your money right here on us, because we kind of happen to be in town because of this whole nonsense with the red that's been coming up out of here. It don't look good for nowhere.
He says, well, I advise you to be careful of the old man they've got running up the powder. Was him who put down the one of us who tried to flee. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. Just pointed his hand at the fellow, and he just and he looks like he's struggling for words. He just exploded like a barrel of black powder going up. I've never seen it. None of us dare go against him ever since we saw that.
That's...
Is Barabas in town?
I believe so. The worst thing is, though, the old man he's got working with him, he had one of the Cobalt Stars with him, like what you Wardens wear. At first, I thought he was a warden, but then I thought, no, he can't be. He's involved with this whole operation. He can't be a warden.
Renegade, I'll say, not in this. Well.
I really don't know how we should go about this.
Well, if Barabas ain't here, and we need to figure out where he is, and figure out what is going on with this possible warden, or maybe somebody killed a warden and then took his badge as a the trophy. I think our next step ought to be checking out who's in that back room. Maybe give us a little more information on where Barabas is at, and maybe clear this saloon out and give these people a little bit of breathing room.
I wonder something. And she looks over at the mayor. Is there a way to get Miss Elizabeth up here?
Oh, well, I'm sure, Miss. I could ask Miss Elizabeth to bring some more drinks up for us to get her up here. I'm sure I could do that if you'd like me to, ma'am.
She not odds and emotion and towards Chapman says, go with to make sure they returned safely. And keep your eyes peeled.
Right, you are, Mandy.
Okay, so Chapman, are you going with the mayor downstairs?
Yep.
Okay. You open the door for him. He nods at you. The two of you walk through. He heads down the stairs and he's like, Miss Elizabeth, if you wouldn't mind bringing some of your extra smooth whiskey up to my chambers, I'm hosting a lady of refined virtue and taste. I would like some of your best. Put it on my account. At which point, Miss Elizabeth nods and says, I understand, Mayor. If you just give me a few moments, I'll bring the bottle up directly. At which point he nods and he starts heading back up the stairs towards the room.
While they got on Warden Holcomb, if Barabas isn't in town, and we can get to this so-called renegade warden, or at least I can, I might be able to get him to talk quite willingly. I have a trick up my sleeve yet.
Oh, you just full of tricks, ma'am.
Always. Especially when I got fine gentlemen such as yourself to do my work for me. And she lets out a little giggle.
We wouldn't have it any other way.
And as Holcomb says that, the door opens and the mayor and Warden Chapman come walking back in. The mayor says, I've asked Miss Elizabeth to bring up a bottle of her smoothest whiskey. I'm sure someone of refined taste like yourself, ma'am, would appreciate it. She said she'll be up directly, and he sits back down on the stool.
Definitely. I assume this Barabas fellow came in about the same time you said Jasper did.
That's right, ma'am. Jasper, like I say, is one of Barabas's right-hand men. He came riding into town alongside him. Him and the old fella.
And they never talked about where they were coming from?
No, ma'am. They just made it plain that we was to keep our mouth shut, and or what the price would be if we didn't. As you're having this conversation, can I ask Chapman, can you please make me a notice roll? This is for slightly earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt the conversation.
Yeah. 4.
Okay. As you were you were just a bit behind the mayor, so you're just coming through the door now. As you were heading up the stairs, from the direction of the back room of the saloon, you heard this sort of like hissing and clanking sound, like some sort of machinery, very faint, but it was definitely there.
Yeah, some machinery back there, Mayor.
You notice the mayor sort of goes pale, and he looks extremely worried when you mention that. He's like, oh, no, Warden, I wouldn't know anything about any machinery in the back room of the saloon.
Say no more, say no more. You want the front or the back there, Trapper?
I'll go around the
Unless
back.
you go around the back. All right. I give him a quick description of how I saw the door look to the back through that window.
The mayor,
all right.
The mayor breaks in. He says, "Wardens, obviously there's nothing in the back room of the saloon, but I would say that if I was up to no good in the back of the saloon, I would make sure that I had at least 10 men in there guarding my interests, if you know what I mean."
Yeah. I'll just turn back to Mandy. What was your plan with Elizabeth, Mandy? Would us going in there interfere with that?
And in fact, as you say that, there's a at the door.
Yeah. Open the door.
You open the door, and Miss Elizabeth is stood there. She's holding a bottle of what appears to be French imported whiskey, judging by the language on the label. And she said, "Oh, Mr. Mayor, I've bought you the finest bottle we have in the establishment." The mayor's like wiping the flop sweat off his forehead with a handkerchief, and he's like, "Oh, you just put it down on the table there, Miss Elizabeth. See, it's put on my tab. I'll settle up the reckoning at the end of the month." And she's like, "I'm sure you will, Mayor." And she puts the bottle down on the table and says, "Well, if there's nothing else, gentlemen or miss."
Actually, there was one thing. I was wondering, I've heard you have some after-hours activity.
So, oh well, I wouldn't know anything about that, miss. I do sometimes rent out the back rooms of my saloon to people who can pay the price. I mean, a gal's got to make a living, and it's not easy in a town like this. You understand?
Oh, most definitely. I was just wondering who might be renting that room.
Well, it's a gentleman from out of town, miss. You can see from the look in her face, she looks as though she wants to tell you more, but she's quite frightened.
Yes. Oh, say no more on who the person is. I was just wondering if you've seen him around today.
She leans in closer to you and lowers her voice almost to a whisper, and then she says, "Miss, there's an older abandoned distillery, not but a few miles to the north of Rattlesnake Gulch, where hooch runners used to use it back in the day. And well, I've heard that recently it's begun operation again, but not for the hooch, if you understand my meaning."
Oh, definitely. And I assume this gentleman wouldn't be in the back room during your normal operating hours. That wouldn't be, so we say, proper procedure for a saloon such as this.
Oh, you're quite right, miss. He's not here at the moment, but some of his men are, and he quite often leaves some of his property there in storage until he can move it out of the gulch, if you catch my meaning.
She's my says, "Right, thank you. You've been most helpful."
Not at all, miss. I should be thanking you. If you can get our town back to being what it was, then, well, let's just say you won't go dry as long as you're in Rattlesnake Gulch. But I must get back to my bar. They'll be realizing something's amiss.
Yes,
if you'll please excuse me. And she nods to all of you and then quickly makes her way out of the room.
And Miss Mandy will stand up, says, "Well, boys, keep the mayor company. If I'm not back within 15 minutes, you know what to do." and she will follow Miss Elizabeth if the downstairs and she'll actually go to leave the saloon.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You follow downstairs. She nods at you as you head towards the door of the saloon.
And as soon as she's out of sight of basically everyone in the saloon, I'm gonna invoke my warden power and head towards that back room.
Okay, that is absolutely fine. You head round to you can feel you can feel like the energy sort of moving around your features as you head to the back room. You can see the back door of the saloon. It's a strong wooden door with metal fixtures on it. You can now hear more clearly this clanking and hissing of machinery inside.
Miss Mandy will walk in basically like she owns the town, trying to pull a Barabas.
Okay, so you walk in. As the door opens, you find yourself face to face with Edgar, the person you passed on the stairs earlier on. He opens the door and his eyes widen in shock as he looks at you, and he's like, Eliza, what are you doing here?
Any trouble with those visitors?
He looks at you and he's like, Eliza, why are you talking in that strange voice? Now, just to explain, your power allows you to look like the person you're talking to most wants to see. So as far as he's concerned, you've not turned into Barabas. You've turned into someone, this Eliza, whoever that might be. It's the person he most wants to see.
Anyway, there's some strangers in town.
He says, Eliza, look, this is a dangerous business. You shouldn't be getting involved with this. You get back to Ma and Pa and tell him you didn't see me. I don't want the family mixed up in this whole affair. I'll keep sending the money back to you as much as I can. You know, get Mara medicine and the like. But you can't be here, Eliza.
So, he kind of nods, and she turns to start to leave. Goes.
As you start to leave, you hear a voice from in the room behind Jasper say, "Is there a problem here, Jasper?" "Oh, no problem, Mr. Greyback, sir. No problem. Just my sister paying a little call. I'm just sending her on her way now." And the voice says, "Good. We don't need any unnecessary complications in this business. Send her off, Jasper." "Yes, of course, Mr. Greyback. I'm just doing so." Now he turns around and he's like, "Eliza, you need to be out of here. You can't be here."
She hesitates for a moment, says, "What have you gotten yourself into this time?"
He says, "Look, you know, with my reputation, with the trouble I've had with the law, it was the only work I could get. And well, it's good money, Eliza. I'm going to have enough to buy all of the medication that the Ma needs. She'll be well again. Her and Pa can get out, and the whole family will be set. Look, you've never had to worry about this thing. I've got to support the family, Eliza."
She says, "Be careful."
"Look, you get your..." And he takes some money out of it.
Start to walk off and kind of grab the money as.
Yeah, he presses it into your hands and he's like, you take this, you get on a coach, and you get out of town. You don't need to be mixed up in this bad business. I never wanted that for you."
She nods and just turns and so actually leave the saloon again and kind of continue round the back and just kind of sit outside watching.
Okay. You hear the door shut behind you.
And her intentions to wait till the Wardens come down to take care of the room and then and kind of film in it on how many people she saw.
Okay, so Trapper and Holcomb, it's been about 15 minutes. There's been no sign of Miss Mandy reappearing. You notice the mayor's actually looking quite worried. He keeps like checking a pocket watch that he's got, because obviously he heard her say 15 minutes. And he's like, you see a few beads of sweat running down his fat face as he like keeps checking his watch.
I think we just done about running out of time. Let's say we pop down and check on Miss Mandy there. You know, he says to Trapper.
You're muted in.
Yep. Let's go.
Okay, the two of you walk downstairs and you see Miss Mandy sat in the saloon bar. Obviously, your power has like ceased now, Mandy, so you should look like yourself.
And as soon as he hears the steps coming, she kind of turns around, gives a quick nod of the head, like, come here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as they walk up next to her soldiers, real softly, he tell them how many people she saw. Sounds like the syllabate is Silas guys in there. Didn't get a good look at him, but no Barabas. And unfortunately, my trick didn't get me past the doorway.
Well, I think Trapper's got about 12 tricks that'll get him through that back door just right fine. I'll whip up a distraction or two up here through the front. I guess head on in and see what we can see. I'll give you a minute or two to pop around to the back there, Trapper, and I'll be causing a ruckus up here. Don't doubt about that. You should be able to hear it.
And I suppose I should at least let the mayor know I'm okay.
Yep, you should.
Okay, so if I'm correct, we've got Mandy heading upstairs to let the mayor know she's okay. Holcomb's going to cause some sort of distraction in the saloon, and Trapper is going to head round to the back entrance.
Yep, reloading my guns as I walk around.
No problems. You head round to the back entrance. Okay, Holcomb.
All right, Holcomb is going to, head up to the bar, or head straight to the bar and go, "Hi, Miss Elizabeth. Might I have one more of those bottles?" And then he kind of leans in. He's like, "It's not going to last too long, so you can make it the cheap stuff." And he'll toss a couple coins down.
She passes you over a bottle of unwholesome looking watery brown liquid that doesn't even have a label on the bottle. And nods at you.
And he's just going to splash a little on his chest or onto his surcoat, kind of cursing under his breath. "Oh, it's going to stain. Hell, it's already burned," looking at the spot again. And then he's going to kind of start stomping his feet a little loud, kind of making it sound uneven, like he's shuffling a bit. And I'm walking straight to that back room, to that door. And he's just going to yell out real loud, "Hey, where y'all keep your outhouse? You got some of that fancy indoor plumbing?" And he's just going to push the door right open and kind of stumble through, sloshing some booze around.
Okay,
"Hey,
as you go to push the door open, the door flies open and 5 men crowd out of the door. You can see they're all holding guns in their hand. One of them pushes you in backwards, pushes you in the chest, and he's like, "Look, get yourself out of here before you get yourself killed."
I ain't never heard of a pisser with a line. Like, you just step to the side. I just got a couple quick squirts, and I'll be right on back. We got a card game going on. Hey, y'all down to play some cards?
Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask you, can you make me a deceive roll? See how much they buy into your charade.
I certainly can do that. 2 minus 1. That is a total of 5. Superb.
Oh, lovely. Superb. So these 5 men bustle out into the corridor with you, and a bit of a ruckus breaks out as they cock their pistols and they're basically saying, "Oh, you're going to get dead soon if you carry on with this." And you're like, "Oh, well, it's just a game of cards." And there's a bit of pushing and shoving going on. Meanwhile, Trapper, you're back round the back door of this building. You can hear this ruckus break out, and you can hear Holcomb's voice being like, "Hey, I'm just looking for the latrine. I was just going to go in there." And you can hear these men be like, "Do you want to get yourself killed?" And like this whole argument breaking out. As you look through like a window in the back, you can actually see that now there only appear to be 5 men and an old fellow with greying hair stood in there. You see like the 5 of them go out of the room to deal with your friend, leaving 5 in there.
Okay. Walk to the door, take 2 steps away from it, and kick it open.
Okay, you kick it open. You don't have to make a roll for that. That's fine. You kick the door open. There's a as you boot it open.
Knock.
You've got your guns ready to go. You see this old man in there with his greying hair looks up in surprise at the door, and you see his 5 associates all like going for their guns. As you shout, "Knock, knock." Okay, they're drawing. They're getting ready. What are you doing?
Okay, I'll switch to my power mode as well, my Warden power, which should help me. So in my mind's eye, see the like similar to laser sights through smoke. Don't see where they're pointing the gun barrels. I can see all these laser lights flying around, so I can.
Okay, you watch as all these lines start to like home in on you as they're also like drawing their guns and pointing them in your direction, since you're like just like, stood in the doorway with 2 guns.
I can see where to move to avoid them now. So stepping in out of the bright light, I'm no longer forming a shadow, a silhouette. And I shall just move and take advantage of the cover, duck, dodge my way around the inside of this room. Drawing a fire, hopefully.
Okay, they are going to shoot at you. You will get a +2 to your defense roll in addition to anything else because you're like behind cover. As you enter the room, you can see there's a lot of like machinery and vats, etc. in this room. There's also what look to be several large wooden crates sealed. There's the old man is stood over by one of the crates. His 5 men now filling the room, and just beyond them you can see the entrance to the saloon, through which you can see Holcomb like pushing and shoving with these guys. Okay, so I'm just going to make 1 shooting roll for them. Okay, that is a good roll, so a +3. You'd like to make a defense roll?
Yep. That is 5.
Okay, yeah, so bullets chew up the crates that you've jumped behind, and as they do, this like red dust plumes into the air. You must have hidden behind some of the crates that contained this red. You hear the old man going, "Don't damage the produce! Don't damage the produce!" as he's sort of waving his hands about. The men start moving towards you, their guns still drawn, smoke issuing forward from the barrels.
Okay. Well, the way to win the gunfight isn't necessarily speed, it's accuracy and patience, as I've learned. So I will pick them off 1 or 2 at a time as I move around.
Okay, make your shoot roll.
So it's a one pistol at a time. While I'm firing one, I'll be cocking the other. Oops.
I'll make that defense roll.
That's quite good. That's an 8.
Okay, since this is like a mob of people and there's only 5 of them, you've effectively got a high enough roll to take out all of these 5 people if you wish. So
yeah, so it's leads flying, filling the place, puffs of red dust coming out, and puffs of sprays of blood as I return fire, taking arms, shoulders, legs, guts, even shooting, just blamming away.
indeed. So you take out the thugs, leaving just the older man. So Holcomb is just sort of like looking over the shoulders of these guys you're like pushing and shoving with. You see the door fly open, then there's this plume of red dust, and stepping cinematically through the red dust with like guns like is Trapper Chapman. You hear this like, ah, God damn it, got my leg. It's like these gunmen just start like dropping one by one as you just hear the and see the flashes of Chapman's 6-shooters.
All right, and as the guys pushing Holcomb kind of start to turn, reacting to this gunfire, Holcomb's just gonna all of a sudden, boom, sober up as far as they know and go, damn, I love watching that man work. And then he's gonna swing up, smash the bottle across one of the guys, and I want to invoke the quick draw again to draw his pistol and shoot one of the others.
Okay, you can most certainly do that, Holcomb. So spend one of your fate points.
Yep.
Okay,
one.
Make a fight roll, since it's a mixture of it. Well, you can choose shooting or fighting since it's a mixture of the two.
All right. So I guess fight for the bottle and shoot for the gun?
Well, we're effectively doing it all as one action, so just pick whichever you've got the highest resulting.
Okay, and I get to add the +2 for invoking the deal?
You do indeed.
Okay. So that is only going to give me a 3.
Okay.
But I'm okay with a good roll.
Okay, I'll make that defense roll.
I am not the shootist that Trapper is.
So you smash this bottle across the face one of him. He's like, "Bark!" And he goes down like a sack of potatoes. So like cuts all over one side of his face, this cheap hooch seeping into the wounds. You then quickly draw your gun and like shoot one of the others in the knee, and he falls down, leaving just one of these people sort of near to you and a couple behind him still standing. 2 of them have been taken out. However, the 3 that are still remaining are going to shoot their guns at you, Holcomb, since obviously now you're a threat. You're not just some drunk guy. So I'll roll as a group. So that is a great roll. That's a +4 for me. So you need to make a defense roll. The skill you're using depends on how you're avoiding it. If you're just dodging, it's athletics.
Yeah. Oh, it's looks like pretty much it's going to be about that any which way. Or a straight roll, or athletics, that is. Yeah. I'm probably going to get hit. Yep, that is only a 1 for the defense for me. For just trying to spin back out of the way. Trying to put a little bit of a wall from that doorway in between me and them.
Okay, so one of the bullets that the group fired has hit you, causing you 2 stress. Now, you need to make sure, have you got enough stress to soak that?
I do not. I'm going to have to take the mild consequence to soak that up.
Okay, so what would you like the consequence to be? Obviously, it's an aspect that reflects the injury, and I will get a free invoke of this in my next turn if they take advantage of it.
All right, I think I hate to say it, I think I'm gonna have to injure one of my arms.
Okay, so you've now got the aspect of injured arm.
All right, or I'll call it pigeon winged. And I'll let you decide whether it's his left or right. You know, whichever way will work better for the story.
We'll go with your left arm. That's absolutely fine. So as you're delivering this gunfire, Trapper, just through this cloud of red dust, you see a flash of a gun being fired, and you see blood spray out of Holcomb's arm as he's hit.
With a cry of, "My suit!" A very pained cry, because it hurt like bloody hell.
Okay, so back to Trapper. These guys are going to try and shoot at you again. Okay, that is a fantastic roll for me. So it's a +6.
Okay. Five.
Okay, so you take 1 level of stress as one of these bullets grazes your shoulder. I'm assuming you've got enough to soak that.
Yep.
Okay, what do you do? What do you do in response?
Well, I was going to give them the opportunity to surrender, but obviously, yeah, I'll have to take them now. I was striding forwards, further into the room. Yeah. I'll just try and take the guys down. Nothing fancy just yet. Just solid shots.
Okay, make your roll.
Ooh, not too good this time. That's a 4.
Okay, so let me roll the defense. Okay, you fire your shots. However, because of the red dust that's filling the air, you're not able to draw a bead on any of them, and they've now moved around the crates that you are hiding behind to the point where they can start to lay hands on you in the next turn. But before we do that, Holcomb, what are you doing? You've just been hit in the arm quite severely.
Oh yeah. Well, he's definitely gonna kind of hold that arm up a little closer. And you said the guys were all circling back towards Trapper?
They appear to be intent on dealing with you first, the 3 that are remaining.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna have to fire back, try and keep him from coming all the way out after me. What's the word? Like kind of backpedaling or retreating, trying to find some better cover. Not really aiming to shoot anybody, just cover fire.
Okay, go for it. So now, if you wish, instead of just like making an attack roll, you could roll to create an advantage here. So what that does is it effectively creates an aspect that you could later utilize without having to spend your fate points. If you get a good enough roll, you'll get an aspect you can use for free. So you might get the aspect covering fire or something like that, and your compatriots can also use it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, if I can, then we'll go with full tip a table over, jump behind it, and then covering fire at the door.
Okay, make your
trying to
roll.
use that bit to kind of try and pin them. A little cover for me and covering fire for everyone to kind of get. All right, so which
shooting?
Oh, I guess that's just shooting. Yeah, just shooting. That is going to give me a total of 2.
Okay, so there is now the aspect covering fire, and there's 1 free invoke on that. Anyone who it's applicable to can use that as you would do a normal invoke, but it doesn't cost you a fate point. You just use the free invoke. Okay, so Trapper, you can see that Holcomb appears to be laying down covering fire. Bullets shoot through the doorway behind your opponent. You can see him ducking a bit and trying to dodge these bullets that Holcomb's just from behind his table. What are you doing, Trapper?
Okay. Is it actually my turn, or is it their fire?
It's all right. We'll go with you for now.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I was shot to wound last time. I should be kill now.
Go for it.
Right. No, I'll tell you what. I'll try and create an aspect. Actually, I want to shoot out some of this machinery, create some steam.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So, creating an advantage, make a shoot roll.
Blimey, that's 7.
Okay, so you've created an aspect with 2 free invokes on it. So what would you like the aspect to be called?
Steam-filled room.
Steam steam-filled room. Okay, so there's 2 free invokes on that anyone who that's applicable to can take advantage of. Okay, so they're going to make their attempt to shoot back at you, Trapper. Although, actually, in fact, they're going to just try and grab you and wrestle you to the floor since they're now within arm's range. So I'm going to make a fight roll for them. Okay, that is a good roll, a +3. So would you like to make a defense roll? Don't forget you can use your free invokes.
Yeah, I'll use one of them.
Okay.
Which takes me to 4.
Okay, so with all the red powder and now the steam hissing into this room as you've like fired into some of the machinery, you've heard the old fella be like, "No!" as you've like shot into the machine, and there's like steam everywhere and thick billowing clouds of red dust and the gun smoke. They try and grab hold of you, and you just slip underneath their grasp and duck out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to ask now, Mandy, obviously you've heard all this commotion going on and the sounds of gunfire from downstairs and from the back room. You've obviously told the mayor you're safe by now. What are you planning to do?
Yep. She's slipping out the door of the saloon heading towards this distillery she was told about.
Don't forget the distillery is like a couple of miles away into the desert, so you're just jumping on your horse and riding towards it.
Oh, yeah. And I think she would be paying pretty close attention and to see if anyone goes running from town to alert Barabas.
Okay, as you're heading out of the inn and heading towards your horse, you do see that at sort of like at the far end of the town, there's a fellow on a horse and he's just sort of like riding northwards out of town. You see him like looking back over his shoulder, and obviously you can hear the of the gunfire going off, and he's like, yeah, spurring his horse on.
Chase him down.
Okay, no
and
problem.
she's pulling out her six-shooter at the same time.
Nice. Okay, make me a riding roll. This will be against that guy's riding roll to see if you can catch him. Whoever gets the highest wins. Okay, so I'm on an average roll for him. He's obviously not quite the horse rider he thought he was.
Average is +1, which gives me a total of 2.
Okay, so as this guy's reaching the outskirts of the town, you spur your horse, and you could almost reach out and like grab him. You're that close to him.
Boom.
Okay, make a shoot roll. And I'll do his defense roll using his ride skill. Okay, I'm on a fair defense roll, so +2.
With the +2 for shoot. So that will be a total of 5.
Okay, so you can kill this guy or take him out in some other fashion as you wish. So as you pull out your 6-shooter and fire at him, describe what goes down.
I imagine that I actually fire at the horse underneath him, and on the way back up, because I'm so close, I just cold cock him, and with the 6-shooter, knocking him straight off the horse I just shot.
Okay, you knock him round the side of the head. With a groan, he falls to the sand. His horse carries on galloping off into the distance, but he is no longer able to escape. You can see that he's not entirely unconscious, but he's like dazed. He's like, so like lying on his back in the sand, like not really sure what's just happening.
Dragging him back to the other 2 wardens.
No problem. You start dragging him back. Okay, we're going to jump across to our card-playing friend, Mr. Holcomb.
All right. In the in the commotion with this steam-filled room, gonna try and take aim and get another one of those guys off of Trapper in there.
Okay,
Try and take out one of the guys that are trying to grab a hold of him.
Okay, no problems. Are you using one of the free invokes on steam-filled room?
Yeah, I'd like to take the steam-filled room.
But bear in mind, you don't have to do that until you've made the roll. So if you like
Okay.
get a roll and it's rubbish, you could then choose to do it. You can also, if you wish, as well as using the invoke to get a +2, you can also use it to entirely re-roll your dice. So if you get like a really bad roll, you could, I'm going to use a re-roll, but you don't get the +2 then.
Yeah, I got you. Cool. We'll see what we get first. Actually, that's a pretty decent roll. I think I am not going to use them. I have a total of 4 for shooting.
Okay, I'm going to make the defense
So
roll.
great.
Okay, you have enough with that roll to take out the remainder of the people who are fighting Trapper, if you wish.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'll do that. That still leaves the old man. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I'll take out the rest of those thugs then.
So
a couple of well-placed shots. All right, yeah. So seeing that previously Trapper had started doing kind of a shoot to kill, I believe, he's just gonna follow suit and just plug a guy in the back, another guy through the neck, another guy, say base of the spine, kind of and twitches him back and down.
Yeah,
that $1 million keister shot.
So Trapper, as these guys are trying to like grab hold of you, there's this cavalcade of gunfire through the adjoining door to the saloon, and the 3 guys who are trying to grab hold of you like fall down to the ground with bullets riddling various parts of their anatomy.
Well, I recognise Trapper's the telltale fire of Trapper's gun. Sorry, no, I'm Trapper.
It's all right. It's a confusing combat situation. Everything's getting crazy up in the saloon.
Thanks.
Whoo, yeah. Always bet on Cobalt.
Okay,
and
so
Holcomb's going to get up, kind of holding his arm. Oh.
Okay, so whilst you're doing that, obviously you've fired to help your friend out, Holcomb. The 3 guys who were still sort of with you, they're going to try and leap over the table you're behind and give you a good old-fashioned Western pummeling. Whew. Okay, that is a fantastic roll for me. So it's a +6. So you might want to make some sort of defense roll.
Ooh, oh man, this is probably going to hurt. I'm
although
building up the bad mojo.
I should point out, I did use my free invoke on your pigeon wing there, so that free invoke is now gone. If I want to use pigeon winged again, I have to spend a fate point.
Okay. So can I again use my warden power?
Yeah.
This potentially, if this is a result of chance, potentially I'm thinking one of the guys jumping over with the way the table is spilt possibly steps on a bottle that has broken, which causes him to trip and fumble and maybe knock his fellows out of the way as Holcomb stumbles back.
I would normally say yes. However, this is the point when your misfortune from earlier is going to come into play. So as you're sort of like you're trying to get yourself down behind the table, you accidentally knock it with your elbow and the table just goes and falls down flat. So it now provides no cover. And these guys just literally charge over the top of it and start pummeling you.
Excellent.
You can still make a defense roll, though. You could use, you could use physique if you're relying on your innate toughness, athletics if you're trying to dodge.
All right. Oh. That is only a total of 1. Okay. I'm afraid I get thumped.
So you'll be taking 5 stress from that.
Ooh.
Now you can use one of your stress boxes to like lower it down, but if you've got any remaining after that, you'll have to take another consequence.
Oh yeah, that's what I was just looking at. I have to take 1 in the physical stress and the other 4 in a moderate consequence.
Okay, so what would you like this consequence to be?
Ooh,
just pummeled, maybe.
Yeah, just pummeled. We'll say, yeah, pummeled. Black eye. Maybe reduces vision. I mean, it's a moderate. It's a big one.
Okay, that's absolutely. I've got a free invoke on pummeled / black eye. Okay.
So one of them's kind of swelled and closed up a bit, and he's not going to be seeing too well at the moment.
Indeed. Okay, Trapper. Now you're pretty much on your own in this back room with this old guy, slightly frazzled and scared-looking old fellow who doesn't appear to have any guns on him. However, as you glance sideways through the adjoining door into the saloon, you literally see Holcomb disappear under the fists and feet of these three guys who are just literally like scrummed onto the top of him, and they're just beating him black and blue.
Shit. Okay. At the risk of letting the old guy loose, I shall run through the doorway and leap onto these guys, leap onto the scrum and start fighting and
okay, so
dragging them off.
As you'd rightly predicted, as you hare through into the saloon and fling yourself on this pile of bodies, the old man lets out a shriek and he just runs out the back door. However, you leap on top of these guys who are pummeling Holcomb. Would you like to make me a fight roll if you're fighting them?
Yep. That's say 3 on the dice and refight. So yeah, 6.
Okay, I'll roll their fight as a defense. Okay, so you can take out 2 of these 3 guys. So describe how that goes down.
I run over, put my guns away. This isn't the time for guns. Grab 2 of them by the scruff of the neck, and whack their heads together, and they just fall limp thrown to one side.
Nice, and that is indeed what happens. They fall to the ground. However, the last one is going to try and put the boot into Holcomb before he goes down. So I'll make his fight roll. So that it would normally be like a terrible roll. However, I'm going to use the free invoke of pummeled to re-roll that, which makes it a good roll. So if you want to make a defense, you need a 3 or more. Holcomb.
Oh yeah, gonna definitely try and roll out of the way of that boot. 3.
Okay, that's fine.
Tied him up.
You've drawn, so he kicks you, but you managed to roll, so it kicks you on the shoulder, and it doesn't do quite as much damage. You seem like drawing back his foot for another kick, but obviously you get to act first.
Man, I'm gonna pistol whip him as hard as I can, right in the kneecap. Ding.
Okay.
Or right in the shin, the leg, anything to try and make him jump back.
Make a fight roll.
Ooh, that is just a 2.
Okay, I have drawn with you, so you swing at his knee, but he jumped back out of the way of your swing, and he still stood on his feet, although he's not got like his gun in his hands anymore because he's just been duking it out with you. However, we now come to Trapper. You've seen this guy jump back. He was just about to put the boot in. Holcomb swung at his knee. He's jumped back a couple of paces.
Okay. I'll draw my pistol, punch it at his forehead. Freeze.
Okay, make me a provoke roll. Although I would say, if you wish, in this scenario, this situation, you can use your shoot instead because you're like actually threatening him with a firearm.
Thank you. That would be a 3 in total then.
Okay. He immediately stops and he just like holds his hands up.
Sit down over there.
Oh. Holcomb slowly kind of climbs to his feet, breathing heavy. Whew. I swear, you make that look so much easier.
You look beat up. Is there a doctor in the house?
Miss Elizabeth, who's been like hiding behind the bar, like pokes her head up, and she's like, "No, we ain't had a doctor in Rattlesnake Gorge for nigh on 3 years."
Damn.
I think if I can use a stunt, I think because I have a friend in every town, I think I have somebody that peeks up behind one of the other tables, kind of half see him out of the good eye. As I live and breathe, Leonard Cassidy, is that you? Now, Leonard owes me a favor from a time that I caught him cheating, but I wasn't going to win the hand, so it wouldn't have been me that he would have angered. Somebody else should have won that hand, and I saved Leonard's life instead of getting shot for cheating. Leonard happens to be a barber, although not a doctor, he does have some of the same kind of skills and might be able to help patch me up a little bit.
As you see this familiar sort of like round face poke up from behind the table, he's like, oh, wow, Warren Holcomb, as I live and breathe. And he comes running over, and he's like, oh, my, you're all beat up, son.
Yeah, got a little bit of a scruff on me, but I think I could worry about that later. You don't still happen to have any of those skills laying around? Maybe reduce some of this swelling on my eye?
He looks over the
beat
bar
up pretty bad here.
He's like, Miss Elizabeth, get me a steak of some kind. And she sort of like rushes out of the saloon, and he pulls out a small like hip flask, and he's like, well, I can't do anything for the arm, my boy, but take a sip of this. This is gonna hurt. Yeah,
he takes a pug, sits down into a chair, and
at the very moment you take like a glug of it, he sort of grabs hold of your arm and goes and then he quickly like wraps a bandage around it. So you're still pigeon winged, but I'm going to make a note that it's bandaged. As Miss Elizabeth comes running back in with like a slightly ratty looking steak, he puts that on your eye and he's like, take a sniff of this, my boy, and he like holds out his snuff box towards you.
And I imagine by about this time, Miss Mandy's dragging this guy back in, goes, you mean missed one? You had to make me dirty my hands.
Holcomb looks out from under a steak. We didn't miss it. We knew nothing was going to get past you there, Miss Mandy.
Okay, since you've used a stunt to get your contact in, it was like a barber surgeon, I've removed the pummeled consequence. You can remove that from your character sheet. However, you are still pigeon winged.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Okay, so to summarize, you've got this guy who's sat down with Trapper's gun trained on him. He's still holding his hands up. Obviously, Holcomb has been pummeled, but he's now bandaged up. His arm's still looking quite bad, although it is bandaged. Mandy has just dragged in this slightly dazed-looking fellow. Over to you guys.
Gentlemen, have we got some questions for you two?
The one who's
looks over
like, what?
Holcomb looks over at the guy, kind of dusty and coated from being dragged through the thing. You need to pick your ass up off the floor. Ma'am, pardon my French, he says to both Elizabeth and Miss Mandy. You need to dust yourself up, get up off the floor, and come stand in here like a full-grown man.
Mandy will lift him up, or help him get up, and goes, allow me to dust you off. Slap!
You slap him and basically throw him onto a chair next to this guy who's got his hands up. He's still like... But the guy with his hands up obviously looks more compos mentis.
All right, Holcomb, the guy that's kind of dazed a bit that Miss Mandy just threw down, Holcomb's going to come up and give him a backhand. Now, you apologize to Miss Mandy. You made her get her hands dirty. Now, it needs to be sincere. The other guy, or the guy that's got his hands up there, and pulls his gun out, cocks it at his buddy, or cocks it at the dazed guy, and says, now, you want to apologize for your friend, or am I going to have to canoe this sucker?
I ain't apologizing for nothing. You're going to be in a whole mess of trouble when Barabas finds out what you've been up to, Wardens.
Boom.
Yeah, no problem. You shoot the dazed guy. He falls sideways off his chair, dead as a doornail.
Whoa.
Now, you want to apologize to Miss Mandy and start singing like a sweet little canary? Because Trapper back there, he's a much cleaner shot than I am. He can make that last a long time.
You see he looks over at Trap with like a look of like slight apprehension on his face, and then he's like, "Fine, what is it you want to know?"
Miss Mandy, you got some questions for this feller?
But you believe this fellow is the one producing the bed. Now, my biggest question is, does he understand the effects it has on us, both positive and negative? And if so, is he working for Barabas willingly or not?
Well, you want to know about the old boy who was working on it? Is that right, miss?
Anything you care to tell me. You see, me and Barabas are gonna have a falling out. And as you can see, my friends and me are quite capable of getting to him.
He says, "Look, all I know is I was hired by Barabas to see to the shipment. He's got some old fella, Grey Batch, who used to be one of your sort, mixing it up for him. I know Barabas has got some highfalutin ideas about taking on the Wardens and Cobalt City and putting a new order in charge. But obviously, if you're going to take on the Wardens, well, Wardens got powers, you see, and you need people with powers to take on people with powers. That's why he's making that stuff. Then all he's got to do is get a whole mess of folk working for him, juice them up on that there stuff, and then he's got a whole mess of powered people. And even if they only last for, well, a few days at best, why, can you imagine what had happened in Cobalt City if you had 50, nay 100 people all with powers, all deciding to throw down with the Wardens?
Yeah, that would not be pleasant for those people.
Would be a mite unpleasant for the Wardens as well. I've seen what that stuff can do.
And I'd hate to think of anyone who happened to be caught in the middle.
Well, I'm just here to see to the shipments. I'm not planning to get involved in Barabas' crusade or anything like that. I just want to take my money for my business.
But you ain't no better than him. Turning a blind eye to it, you ain't no better than him. You may as well done the act yourself.
Well, ain't you the highfalutin warden? Oh, it's all very easy for you wardens with your powers, walk around with your fancy schmancy Cobalt Stars, doing whatever you want. Not like us little people who gotta scratch and struggle for every red cent that we make. Some of us gotta take the money where we can get it. Not all of us got these powers that we can use.
Miss Mandy will look at him go, I know what you mean. Some of us have to do unpleasant things.
Well, I'm not saying, miss, that I'd be upset if Barabas were to stick it to the Wardens riding around like they are better than all the rest of us folk, like their shit don't stink, pardon my French.
He either chuckles at this, goes, yeah, I know a few who have that attitude from time to time. But the concern here is exactly how much you think your life is worth. You see, I don't mind if you walk. I mind if that hits the streets, so to speak. And she nods over towards the crates and the bed. I've seen what it can do as well. And
well, as you say, miss, I'm madly attached to my own hide.
see, looks over at the two Wardens, goes, perhaps temporarily put him in with the other one. Why we go check out the distillery.
That sounds like a plan. Put him in and show him what his handiwork with the deliveries of this red does. You haven't seen how burned up that sucker is, and now he did that to himself. Nobody lit a match. He lit himself up. Why don't you wait in there? We'll drag you back there and let you wait in there and take a look at that roasted sucker. Kind of smells like a suckling pig all roasted up, but it don't look so pretty.
Yeah, round up all the injured ones, march them over to the jail.
That's fine. You lock up all the injured gunslingers and assaulted thugs of Barabas in the jail with their crispy fried compatriot.
And I'm going to see about enlisting the help of some of the men that are left hanging out in the saloon, and see if they'll help me drag those crates out into the street. I'm going to burn them all, or burn that whole shipment if I can.
Okay, yeah. Having seen what's just gone ahead and how handy you guys are with shooting irons, surprisingly, they don't argue when you ask them to help move some boxes. All these crates are dragged out into the dusty street outside the saloon. There's a few people like gathered around, sort of trying to see what's going on and obviously what the commotion has been.
And Mandy throws the first church.
Do we know enough about red to know whether red fumes would have that same effect?
Okay,
that's a good question.
At this point, can you please make me an athletics roll, please, Trapper? This is just to see, because obviously Mandy's already thrown the first torch. It's just about to. This is to see whether you react quickly enough to be like.
That's 2.
Okay. Now, Mandy, can you also please make me an athletics roll? If you get higher than a 2, you've thrown the torch before Trapper can bring up his query.
Luckily, it's a 1.
Okay, so your arms outstretched. You're just about to let go of the torch, Mandy, when Trapper breaks in. What do you say, Trapper, as you put a hand on the stopper?
Put a hand on an arm. Just a second, Mandy. You know a little bit about this red, don't you? Do you know whether red fumes from the crystals would have the same effect?
All I know is enough to see the signs of people using it.
I will say you can make me a law roll, Mandy, to see if you do know a bit more about it.
Oh.
Also, if anyone else wants to make a law roll, you can do.
I was thinking I was actually going to take just a little bit. Some of them were broken open. Take a little bit of it, set it off to the side, and touch the torch to it, possibly as an investigation instead of a lore.
That is absolutely fine. You can certainly do that and make an investigation roll.
Yeah, after Trapper brings it up.
I got 2, and if we want to use my stunt for experience with red, that would make it for.
Okay. So, and what did you roll, Holcomb? 3?
Yeah, I'm on a 3.
So you're pretty sure, Mandy, that the fumes of this red are equally as dangerous. However, the fumes tend to be a little bit more unpredictable than if it's taken in its refined state. So you're probably quite glad that Trapper's like, don't throw a torch into it.
Yeah.
While you're having this conversation, you've sort of like headed off a little bit into the back, Holcomb. You've got like a tiny pinch of the red powder. You touch a torch to it, and there's this little like plume of ruddy red-brown smoke comes off it. It quickly disperses because it's only a tiny pinch you burnt, but you're pretty sure if you burnt all of those crates, there would be like a huge cloud of this stuff just billowing out and filling most of the town.
Yeah. I'm very glad we didn't do that.
You see Mandy start to put out the torch, goes, there's gotta be a better way of dealing with this mess. Although, for the life of me, I can't think of a way of disposing of it.
Well, hell, maybe we find the sucker that made it. Maybe he can find some way to neutralize it. Or maybe they know something. We can add something else to it. That's beyond me. It'd just be a straight gamble in my corner.
Okay, so what are you guys planning on doing now?
I think why we have to go ahead and leave this stuff in the open and trust the fine mayor to make sure no one gets into it.
You hear a voice from behind you as the mayor comes down the stairs saying, "Oh, you can rely on me, madam. I will have my men take this stuff out into the deepest desert and bury it where no one will find it."
I don't suggest you do that either. We're going to take it back to Cobalt with us.
Yeah.
Oh, as you wish, Warden. I didn't mean no offense. I was just trying to help the little lady out there.
Oh, definitely. Just make sure no one gets into it.
Right, you really say, you heard the lady, man. Get yourself up off your lazy behinds and get out there. We're going to guard these here boxes until these wardens come back and take them off our hands. And a few of the people who are sat around in the saloon are like, all right, yeah, okay. And start like getting to their feet.
And for the first time, you actually see Mandy shift, revealing her Cobalt Star as well. Oh, from among her gown.
You notice the mayor's eyes like widen a bit, but he like recovers himself quite quickly. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, Madam Warden.
Oh, no, my dear mayor. Call me Mandy.
Oh, as you wish, Mandy. Enchanté. And he like kisses your hand.
Anyway, time for pleasure later. Business calls. My fellow Warden, shall we be off to deal with the plague of this town?
Yes, ma'am. And Holcomb would like to, or I'd like to, with kind of a sleight of hand burglary attempt, grab one of those bottles or so of the red dust and tuck it into my coat, kind of discreetly.
That's absolutely fine. You'd have to make a roll for that. No worries. Okay, so are you guys heading off to the abandoned distillery?
I think I'd just like to check out the back first, around the back, see if I can see signs of where the old fellow went.
Okay, you can see that there are sort of like footprints in the dust out of the back door, but beyond that, 'cause the ground's quite hard, you can't really see any trail. You can probably just see like a little plume of dust like off in the distance.
That's good enough for me, yeah.
Okay, so as you guys head off towards the distillery, feel free to chat as you ride. I'm just going to quickly nip to the little cowboy's room and I'll be back momentarily.
Sounds good to me. I need to do the same.
Okay. Tied a knot in it.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a lot more dangerous than I at first assumed. I'm very glad you stopped us before burning that. That could have been awful.
It's getting to me then. Yeah. Yeah, it's going well.
Yep. I am not dead. I'm pretty stoked on that.
Yeah, it's difficult to get killed, really. You get taken out, but unless the guy wants you dead. There's usually a way out with Fate. It's quite a nice, easygoing system. Very cinematic.
Yeah, it definitely lends itself to that kind of pulp cinema. It's pretty great.
Yeah, well, you got yourself beaten up and full of holes.
Yep.
Okay, guys.
Like any good gambler.
How are you guys finding the game so far?
I'm digging it.
Yeah. Having fun.
Okay, so you guys are riding towards. You're just riding northwards because you've got no idea where this like distillery is, other than the fact it's a couple of miles north of the gulch, apparently. So you just sort of like riding northwards out of the town, following this small like plume of smoke you can see in the distance. As you're getting a bit closer, you can see it's probably a person on a horse. You can't see who it is at this distance, although Trapper seems to be assuming it's this old man who ran out of the door. As you're getting closer, you can see what appears to be this old, sort of slightly tumbled down wooden building. You can hear, as you get closer, the distinctive loud clank of machinery. As you're sort of riding towards it, you see the horse that you're following sort of come to a stop in front of it. An old man jumps down off it with surprising athleticism, given the fact that he looks very old. He ties it up quickly and he runs into the building. As you're sort of looking at it, you can see there's a couple of men stood out the front with rifles by either side of the door. You see the old man sort of like pointing your direction, and he shouts something, but you can't hear what he's saying. Then he ducks in through the door, and you see these two fellows like lifting their rifles up and pointing them in your direction. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple of shots from them. I'll do one at Trapper. Okay, would you like to make me a ride roll to defend against that?
Only 2.
Okay, that's fine. The bullet chews up the sand near the hooves of your trusty steed. I'm do one at Holcomb. Okay, so that is a +2 attack roll. So Holcomb, would you like to make me a ride as a defense?
Indeed. Hey, that's a 3 total for me.
Okay, so again, the bullet chews up the sand to your left, but you manage with your one good arm, you manage to like rein your horse away from it. You guys are sort of getting very close to the distillery now. However, they're going to get like another shot at you before you get level with where they are. I'm assuming Mandy's like a little bit behind you guys. That's why I'm shooting at you two. Okay, so another one at Trapper. Okay, that is a mighty +2.
Mighty a +4. Oh, sorry, +3. It was still.
Okay, so with a deft display of horsemanship, you wheel your horse around these shots that are chewing up the desert sand in this sort of midday sun. Although it's getting to like early evening now, it started to get a little bit colder out in the desert. The temperature's falling rapidly. Another shot rings out towards Holcomb, and that is a great roll, so a +4.
Ooh boy. Oh, a 3 again. He gets me.
Okay, so you take 1 stress as a bullet dings you. Obviously, if you've got a stress box, you can. Please bear in mind, guys, that all your stress boxes are now clear because we're in a different scene.
Oh, okay, cool. I was about to say I have no stress boxes open, or not for physical. Cool.
Yes, stress box is clear at the end of each scene.
All right.
Okay, so a bullet
Excellent.
dings your shoulder, like sort of chewing up your much maligned and unfortunate suit, but it does you very little damage. You guys are now pretty much level with these people. You seem like hastily trying to like reload their rifles to get another shot off at you as you all draw level with them.
Drawing fire.
Go for it.
Say +5. +5.
Okay, you can definitely take out one of these guys. In fact, you can take out both of them if you wish.
Yep. A couple of pistol shots ring out, and the 2 riflemen spin and tumble.
Indeed, there's a loud cry as they hit the sands and their blood starts spreading out in pools below their body. You can hear what the sounds of commotion coming from inside the distillery. You're now literally like just outside the front door. You can see where the old man's like tied up his horse to a hitching post. And you can hear this like of machinery inside the distillery.
Just remembered something I forgot to do. Damn. Actually, yeah. I'll slide off my horse, and I'd like to spend a fate point to say that I reach into one of my saddlebags and pull out this stick of dynamite and give a grin to Holcomb.
Absolutely fine.
That's an ace up your sleeve.
For later, for emergencies, I'll say, stuff it in my pocket.
And I think I will spend a fate point just to pull off my dismount. As she's gonna leap off a horse that's going full black as somersault, all come up to her feet with her suit out and just whistle and have the horse like pull off to the side.
Yep, you've spent a fate point, so that is what happens. You leap off your horse as it's going at full gallop, somersault in the air, and you land on your feet with your gun held out in front of you.
And then she'll just start covering the doorway, moseying up to the door while the other two get off their horses.
Are all those petticoats necessary?
Well, of course, we have to look good by being taking care of business.
Okay, so you guys can hear this loud clanking of machinery from inside the refinery. You can also hear there's some commotion going on inside there.
All right. I want to attempt to deceive, and again, just call out nice and loud. Sanders, Johnson, you all head around left. Carl, Steve, you all go around to the right. We're gonna surround these. We're gonna surround these suckers right now.
Okay, make a deceive roll. And what is the aim of this deception? What are you trying to get to happen?
I'm kind of, since we're all kind of gathered at the front door, I'm not knowing how many people are inside. I'm hoping to spread their numbers out so they're not all watching where we're about to come through.
Nice, go for it, mate.
Kind of thin it down for us. Give us a chance to get in.
Excellent.
Oh my gosh. Thankfully, deceive is my highest skill, so that gives me a 1. I rolled awful.
Okay, you don't hear any obvious signs from inside of like the commotion changing as you've like called out.
As far as I know, it worked.
Okay, so what are you guys doing? You've heard this commotion inside. You can hear the sound of like what sounds like people getting guns ready inside. You can only just hear it over the clank of this machinery.
Well, hopefully between all that, they don't know we're coming. Well, I mean, obviously they know we're coming, but hopefully they think we split up around the sides.
And in fact,
open her warden power again and walking right in.
I've added the aspect of noisy machinery to this scene, which obviously doesn't have any free invokes, but you could add free invokes by rolling to create an advantage, or you could use a fate point to invoke that aspect. So, Mandy, you say you're pretty much just walking straight in?
Yep, using my warden power.
Okay, no problem. You walk straight in. As you walk in, you can see that there's like a sort of walkway where normally like a second floor would be. It looks like there's once a second floor to this building, but like the middle of the floor has been taken out. And you can see men with rifles, probably about 20 of them, stood around on this walkway. And there's a grizzled, scarred person who you will certainly recognize as Barabas stood next to them. You can also see there's what appears to be wires and sort of tubes running from the walls of the building into these bizarre sort of metal cylinders and contraptions. They appear to run to what looks like a chair in the center of the chamber, and there's obviously someone sat in the chair, but there's like a sheet thrown over them. You can hear sort of muffled groaning coming from below it. As you walk in, there's shouts from the gantry as people start to recognize you and think you're the person they most want to see. However, that quickly becomes apparent that something odd's going on here because they're all seeing a different person. So you get someone going like, Clarabelle, that's not Clarabelle, that's my son. And a bit of a sort of furore breaks out amongst them as they're also debating.
Heading straight for Barabas and poof,
Okay, he's up on the gantry, so you'd have to sort of head across the warehouse past this chair to like get to like the ladder to go up the gantry.
As soon as I'm close enough up to hit him, I'm shooting. And hopefully that's before they shoot me.
Okay, make me an athletics roll. See how quickly you cross the distillery.
3 and athletics is 1, so total of 4.
Okay, unfortunately, you don't make it quickly across the room before they recover themselves. Obviously, Trapper, Holcomb, you're stood at the doorway. You've seen Mandy just walk in. The two groups of people with rifles are both going to shoot at you. Mandy, you just like strutted in. So I'm going to make their attack rolls. Okay, so that is a good roll, a +3. So would you like to make me some kind of defense roll, Mandy? It's athletics if you're just trying to dodge.
Yeah, I think athletics is about all I can do. Oh.
Okay, don't forget you've got fate points and aspects, etc. But
and I think I will actually spend a fate point.
Okay, which aspect are you invoking?
All right. Give me a second. I think I'm gonna go over a quick smile and quick wits to realize that they kind of seen through what I was going for, and just attempt to hit the ground out almost face first.
So you've spent a fate point to invoke that aspect, so you can either add a +2 to your roll when you make it, or you can re-roll it. It's up to you. So make your defense roll.
I think I will add the +2, which will actually bring it up to a 2.
Okay, so you are going to take 2 levels of stress from this. So you could tick off your 2 stress box to soak that effectively if you wish. Okay, so the rest of you guys, you see Mandy go strutting in. There's a brief argument on the gantry. Then this cavalcade of shots ring out, hitting Mandy. You see blood spreading on her petticoats. And then I'm going to roll for the second group shooting.
Mandy!
Okay, that is a fair roll, so a +2 roll. So if you want to make me another defense roll, Mandy.
Just a second. Nice. And I think I'll use my last fate point to add a +2.
So you've got 2 still by my reckoning, so you still have 1 left.
Oh, okay. So that brings me up to a +5.
Okay, so as you get hit by the first lot of shots causing you like minor injuries, you literally leap forward and you grab onto the bottom of the ladder just as shots completely annihilate the ground where you were standing a few moments ago. You're at the bottom of the ladder. You can hear the like of these people like reloading their guns. I'm going to jump across to Trapper and Holcomb. Trapper, what are you doing?
I'll take the dynamite from my pocket and hand it to Holcomb. Find somewhere good for that. I'll stride into the building.
Okay, you stride in. Obviously, the 2 groups of thugs have already taken their shots.
Yeah. I shall activate my power so that they're shooting at me rather than Fair Maiden.
Okay, so the person who hadn't taken their shot yet, which is obviously Barabas, you can see he was going to swing his gun towards Mandy to shoot at her, but as he does, he sees you come in and he trains his gun on you, Trapper, and fires. Okay, that is a great roll. So that's a +4 roll. You can make a defense.
+6.
+6.
6, yeah. So,
Okay, no problems. He fires down at you with his 6-shooter, but you easily evade the shot and make it across the room to the ladder that Mandy's just started climbing on. Holcomb, what are you doing?
All right, in the as everybody's kind of firing at other things, or seemingly caught up with other folks going in, Holcomb's going to try and run through the door and dive behind one of these machines. You said they were kind of larger machines scattered around on this first floor. Yeah, I'm going to kind of try and use one of those for cover, hoping I was not seen so well.
Okay, you dive behind some possibly of the machinery. Make me a notice roll.
Okay. That is just a 0.
Okay, that's fine. As you sort of dive behind the machinery, you think you see what appears to be a pale hand sticking out from under this blanket that's thrown over the seat in the center of the room.
Oh boy. Okay.
It looks very long and sort of elegant.
Ooh. Kind of half seeing that, he'll kind of remember. Wait, I have this dynamite, and he's going to turn his attention back to looking at the machines to see if there's a central area that maybe some of these piping and wiring collects at.
Okay, I'll say this is like a create an advantage roll. So roll me an investigation roll.
Okay.
To see if you can find the ideal spot to plant it.
Ooh, 1, 2, 3 plus another 3. That's going to be a 6 for that one.
Okay, if you look around and you're following all these wires and these tubes and pipes, you see they all appear to run towards what looks to be like an old still, which is only a short distance away from you, and everything seems to connect to that.
Oh boy. Oh man. Whew. If I can, gonna try and move that way. I think I'm gonna tuck the dynamite into my coat so I'm not just waving it around. I don't want to accidentally, detonate the thing. I don't know how volatile it is at the moment.
That's absolutely fine. You shimmy over to this still, and the next turn you can put the dynamite in place. Mm-hmm. You've got to the still is right next to you. You're sort of tucked down behind it. Okay, we're going to go on to the NPC's turn. Now, since you've activated your power trapper, they're obviously going to be shooting at you rather than at Mandy. So I'll roll for both of those. Okay, so that is a +3, so a good roll for the first group firing.
2, 3, 4, 4.
Okay, not a problem. You duck behind some crates and bullets riddle the front of it. The second group firing at you, they have also got a 3.
Behind Mandy. Sorry, some crates. Yeah. That's a 6. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say as these bullets come down towards you, you actually lift up one of these crates and sort of almost catch the bullets with this crate in midair, and the bullets that would have been heading towards you and Mandy just riddle the side of this crate that you then drop down.
Yeah.
Okay, you look up to find Barabas training his gun on you. And that is only a fair roll from Barabas.
Five. Oh, sorry, 7.
Yeah, he shoots at you. You rip one of the planks out of this crate and just sort of bat the bullet away with it. And the two of you start scrambling up the ladder. Okay, so we've got Trapper and Mandy, you're at the top of the ladder. It's going to take you like another turn to like get to where Barabas is, and obviously he's surrounded by his men, so you're gonna have to like go through them in some way. So Mandy, you're at the top of the ladder. You can see Barabas in the middle of his men. They're all reloading their guns. What are you doing?
I'm gonna try to get a clean shot at Barabas. And I think I'm gonna use my last fate point to invoke the Barrel Barabas burning down my saloon, and I got a score to settle.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So as you lock eyes with the hated Barabas, you level your gun, waiting for a gap in his goons, and fire. Make your shooting roll.
So that will be 4. And do I get anything for invoking that?
+2.
+2, so that will be 6.
Okay, so I'm going to make his defense roll. Okay, so he is on a +4 at the moment. However, I'm going to use one of my fate points to invoke his aspect of surrounded by my men to take it up to a 6. So just as you're taking your shot, it's whizzing through the air towards Barabas, but as one of his men just like walks in the way of the shot, like accidentally, as the shot's going towards him, it hits this guy in the head and he falls down without uttering a sound.
Hey, I think I took out one of his men.
That's it. Okay, so Trapper, you're also at the top of the ladder. You've just seen this gunslinger go down.
Right. Well, I'll try and counter that with create an advantage called a clear path to Barabas.
Nice. Okay, so make your create advantage roll.
Three.
Okay. So you have created that with 2 free invokes. So there is now the aspect of a clear path to Barabas with 2 free invokes that anyone can use if it's applicable. Okay, so we're going to move on to the NPCs. Obviously, they've reloaded. They've seen you guys up there. Due to Trapper's power being active still, they're all going to shoot at him because that's what his power does. That's the downside of it. Okay, so the 2 groups shooting at you. The first one gets...
We can invoke aspects at any time for the scene, right?
Yeah, as long as it's applicable.
I think I'd like to invoke the steam-filled room.
Unfortunately, you don't have any fate points left to spend, so you wouldn't be able to invoke that.
That was the one for the back room of the saloon specifically.
Yeah, the steam-filled room was back in the saloon, so that's no longer applicable.
Okay. I was thinking with all the machines here too.
Yeah, I'd have to create a new one, unfortunately.
Able to be used.
Okay, so the ones who are shooting at you have got a good roll, Trapper, the first group, so that's a +3. Obviously, you have 2 invokes of a clear path to Barabas. If you can somehow work it away, that would benefit you.
Oh, I don't need it for that. That's a 6.
Okay, yeah, so they fire at you. You momentarily duck behind one of these crates. The bullets hit the crate, and you see a thin trickle of this red powder come out of it. The second group take aim at you, and they also get a good roll.
One, 3 again. Is that's
yeah, that's fine. Okay, so their shots riddle the walls around you. You see Barabas, he doesn't take another shot at you. He reaches over to the crate that's next to him and he starts prying the lid off it. Okay, so Trapper, what are you doing?
Is it Holcomb?
Yeah, we'll get to Holcomb in a second.
Oh, fair enough. I'm going to shoot the rest of the goons rather than Barabas, because I can see how intent Mandy is on doing that deed herself. So
okay, make your shoot roll.
That's a 6 - 1, 5.
Okay. Right, you have enough to take out one of these groups of goons. So describe how that goes down.
Yeah, I've just had my back to this big wooden stanchion that's holding up part of the ceiling, and I've got my guns, and I just turn around and sort of in Matrixy style take out these guys on the top stanchion, so my bullets are blowing away the balustrades, and the men are falling and flying.
Indeed, there's a series of screams as people are like falling over the edge of this gantry and landing on the ground below with a series of dull thumps. There are only now 5 of these gunfighters and Barabas himself left, and presumably this old guy who you've not yet noticed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to reload, so that'll be what I do next.
Okay, so we're going to jump across to Holcomb. Holcomb, you're level with like this still. You've got the dynamite. You can hear all the gunfire and see the flashes up above. There's people like cascading over this railing.
I think can I see how it's going for him up there? Or is it the catwalk kind of block my view?
You can just about make it out. It looks as though one of the group of like 10 men that was surrounding Barabas have been like taken out, and most of them are lying dead. There's still 10 men surrounding them. Barabas himself appears to be like prizing the lid off one of these crates. And from your vantage point, as you're looking, you can actually see that the old man who you pursued here is actually crouched down behind the very same crate, trying to like make himself as small as possible.
All right. In that case, I am going to I want to invoke a clear path to Barabas, but I want to do it in a distracting kind of way. So he's going to light the stick of dynamite and hold it up over his head and just yell out, "Excuse me!"
Okay, yeah, you'd have to make a roll for that because you've invoked that aspect. That certainly draws a lot of attention. Obviously, you guys up on the gantry can see him without the stick of dynamite. Excuse me.
Yeah, like lit.
Jeez.
Okay, so Trapper and Mandy up where you are on the gantry, you see the old man stand up from behind this crate where he'd been concealed, and he goes, "No!" Then there's like a distortion of the air as though and he seems to disappear, and he reappears stood next to you, Holcomb.
Ooh. Oh shit.
However, you do notice that as he appears next to you, he appears to be entirely naked. Whereas Trapper and Mandy stood up there, you basically see him go, "No," and he disappears, and all of his clothes and all of his gear and everything are just left there, and they just go and fall onto the decking, which causes Barabas to be like,
yeah, I wasn't expecting that either.
As this guy appears, Holcomb, he's going to try and like I say, he's quite spry for his age. He's going to try and grab hold of you and like wrestle this stick of dynamite off you. So I'm going to make a fight roll for him. Oof.
Okay.
Okay, he is on a great roll, so that's a +4.
Ooh boy, we shall see. And trying to dodge. We'll stay with the fighting as well.
Yeah.
But that does not. Is that great's a 4? That's only a 3. So I want to spend my last fate point to re-roll that.
Okay.
No, that's only a 2.
Okay.
I wasn't making it either way.
Okay, so he grabs hold of you. You've still got the dynamite in your hand, but he's like grabbed hold of your arm and he pretty much wrestles you to the floor, and the two of you are sort of rolling around on the floor with you trying to like hold onto this dynamite while he's trying to prise your hands off it. Okay, Mandy, up above, you've seen all this commotion going on. Barabas has only got 10 men around him now. You can see that thanks to Trapper, there appears to be a bit of a clear path to Barabas. What are you doing?
Shoot him.
Go for it.
So that will be a 3.
Good enough. Describe how you take out Barabas.
Just it's point blank right in the forehead, and then and I imagine she turns to the Wardens, because that's what they get for burning down my salon. Now let's take care of the rest of these little varmints.
Okay, as you say that, Barabas, with like half of his face missing where you've shot him point blank, staggers backwards. He falls over the balcony, falls down and lands on the floor. As he does, his hands sort of like reaching out to try and find anything to steady himself, falls onto the blanket on the chair in the middle and pulls it free. As it does so, you can see one of these ethereally beautiful looking folk lying on the chair. They're very pale and thin. You see what appear to be like needles that attached to the tubes running from its arms, back, neck, etc. And there's a red liquid like pulsing through these tubes coming from the folk. Barabas is like, just hits the floor and he's like,
oh shit.
Yep, now we know.
Okay, Trapper, there's still 10 goons up here.
Yeah, that'll be my primary concern then. Taking them out.
Go for it.
Five.
Okay, describe how you take out these 10 men who are sort of like they're running towards you with their guns like clubs because they ain't gonna have time to reload. They're running towards you as you calmly sort of like level your pistols at them. How do you take them out?
Yep, like I said before, not rushing, just taking my time. As they come towards me, first one's first. Bam, he drops, revealing another one. Bam, click, bam, click, bam.
So there's this cloud of gun smoke and the almost divine sound of the hammer on Trapper's guns hitting the barrel as he strides through this crowd of people. It's like there's screams and more people fly over the edge of the balcony, landing on the floor below. And as the scene clears and the gunshot dies away, there's just Mandy and Trapper stood there on this balcony with no one else left opposing them. We sort of like pan the camera down, if you will, to where Holcomb is wrestling with this old guy down below, trying to get the stick of dynamite out of Holcomb. What are you doing?
Come on, Holcomb.
All right. This actually might work out. So as we're wrestling, I'm going to try to, do I need fate points to work the stunts?
Nope.
No? Okay. Cool, this could work. So as we're wrestling, I wanted to try, because I am light-fingered, I get +2 to burglary rolls for picking pockets and such.
Mm-hmm.
I know he doesn't have any pockets, but I do. So with the dynamite still burning, I'm going to try and do a sleight of hand switch to swap the stick of dynamite into my pocket for the bottle of red that I swiped out of the crate back in town.
Okay, that's fine. Make your burglary roll.
So hopefully he will still be fighting for that. That's with a +2. So a total of +5. That's going to give me a total of 5.
Okay, you switch the bottle of this red for the dynamite. Obviously, the dynamite's no longer lit. You've like tucked it in your pocket. But due to the red coloration of the dynamite and the red color of the bottle, he doesn't appear to notice, and he carries on like wrestling with you. So I'm going to make a fight roll for him. Okay, he's on a +6. So make your defense roll. Bear in mind, he's not trying to damage you. He's just trying to.
Oh yeah, no, I'm letting him win that one. I'm not even going to fight it.
That's fine. In which case,
I'm going to feign with my bandaged arm. And let him think he's won.
In which case,
and I will roll a deceive if I need to defend.
That's fine. You don't have to roll to defend since you're letting him take it. He grabs this bottle, runs towards the door, obviously still assuming it's dynamite, ready to like throw it out the door of the distillery. And just about to throw it, he's like, he turns around and he's like, no.
And I'm tucking that thing into the machine.
How short are you setting the fuse?
Well, since it's all a game of chance, I'd like to. I know it's gonna come back and haunt me. But since the situation's gonna work out in my favor, the fuse is gonna be exactly long enough for Trapper and Miss Mandy to get down that ladder and start moving.
Okay, so since you've used your power, you're right. It is exactly the right length. You tuck it into the old stove. The old man runs in, forgetting about you, Holcomb. He's like, no, and he runs up and he's trying to get this thing out of the machinery, but you've wedged it in so much he can't even reach it. Okay, so obviously Trapper and Mandy aren't aware that this thing's gonna blow, but quick. Do you let them know, Holcomb?
Oh yeah, I scream out. Time to head for that sunset, y'all!
So
get moving!
She starts bailing. Teddy skirts and all.
Okay, so what about yourself, Trapper?
Trapper has an obligation to rescue this folk who's all plugged in. So he's my concern. I need to get him out.
Well, luckily for you, the fuse has been set just long enough to allow you time to get out. So you, on your way down, as like Mandy runs past you, joining Holcomb, heading out of the door, you quickly grab this withered folk, pull the needles out, etc. Grab them and run outside. They try and say something, but they're too weak to get the words out, and the three of you bail outside of the distillery. As you run some distance away in that sort of cool guys don't look at explosions style, there's a loud from behind you as this distillery goes up, and this huge plume of red smoke rises up into the air. You're all thrown off your feet onto your fronts, onto the sand. However, this is where Holcomb's misfortune chooses to manifest itself. As the dust is settling and wood and nails are raining down from the wreckage of the distillery, and this thick sort of cloud of red dust is hanging over it, from inside the distillery you hear a sound that's like and as you watch, you see this creature, since there's no other way of describing it, starts to heave its way out of the ruins of the distillery. It's a mass of cancerous flesh and what appear to be tendrils. If any of you have seen that bit in Akira, when the big mutation kicks off, it's very much like that. Just as it seems to be expanding, almost as though it's absorbing this dust. And as it's all these tendrils burst their way out. As you look back, Holcomb, for a few moments, you see the terrified face of the old man, inside the mass. And then this creeping cancerous flesh just sucks the face back into this huge mass. As it starts lashing out towards you and heaving itself towards you with claws, tentacles, human hands. It just appears to be a mass of mutation and riotous flesh. What do you guys do?
Guys?
Man,
Holcomb's scrambling to his feet.
He gets up and gives a whistle because her horse ain't been tied, and she's gonna leap on her horse and get the hell out of Dodge.
So this huge like monster's pulling himself out, and Mandy's like, "Good job, guys."
My work here is done.
Okay, so that leaves Trapper and Holcomb. Obviously, Trapper, you've got this sort of like withered folk.
Yeah,
with you.
I think, is that a fate point I see before me?
It is indeed. You have one fate
Indeed.
point remaining.
I would like to say that the folk have been watching the proceedings from afar, and now they sort of like make themselves known. And as Trapper steps forward, drawing his guns to face off against this huge creature that he knows he'll probably never survive against, he hears the bump, 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 as the folk cavalry turn up.
Indeed, you hear a high-pitched scream, and as you look around, you see a band of what must be 20 folk riding these strange bipedal steeds, galloping full bore to your position. They start galloping past you. One of them pulls to a stop, and you recognize the folk from earlier, Trapper. He looks down at you and he gestures with his hand towards the injured member of his race who's lying at your feet.
So lift him up and hand him over across the back of his steed.
You have this injured folk up onto the steed behind this folk warrior from earlier. He looks down at you, nods, and then he reaches up and he wipes the blood-covered war paint off his face and smiles at you. And he says, "You have done us a great service here, Wardens. We will not forget this. My people do not forget. We will deal with this." And he gestures up ahead with his axe to the creature. You can see that like all of his warriors have just charged straight past and they're heading towards this creature, like, firing arrows into it, attacking it with axes.
Well, good luck with that. It's time we were on our way, Holcomb.
He nods at you and he starts to ride off. Then he pauses, reining his steed in a little bit. He reaches up to behind his ear and he takes what appears to be a small sort of piece of jewelry with a feather sticking out of it, and he holds it out towards you, Trapper.
Yeah, I'll take it. Nod.
He nods and then he goes, "Hah!" and gallops his steed off to join his people attacking this huge mutated monster. Holcomb and Trapper, what are you doing?
Holcomb's still scrambling, trying to get onto his horse with his one lame arm, little beat to bruised. And just trying to, he's ready to go. There are savages all around him, hooting and hollering, and arrows flying everywhere, and this mass of growing flesh rampaging. Okay. Holcomb's ready to go out. This is a bad hand, and I know when to fold.
Okay, so as you all gallop off into the sunset, the scene fades down. We cut to Cobalt City, the grandiose surroundings of the largest city in the Blue Lands, several months later, since that's the time it would have taken you to get back there. We zoom in to a rather palatial-looking estate of Cobalt Palace. The assorted nobility are gathered around, and we watch as Mandy, Trapper, and Holcomb walk down this cobalt blue carpet towards a golden throne. On it sits the beauteous figure of Queen Aurora. She's just finished making a speech to the crowd, and then she says, "And for conspicuous bravery in the line of duty and ending this red menace, it is my great pleasure to award Warden Chapman, Bailey, and Holcomb the Azure Medal for Bravery. Please step forward." And she has one of her retainers like pin this medal on each of you. People are just sort of like nodding, etc. When there's a bit of a commotion by the door. The door opens and you see a band of folk stood there holding spears. One of them, who you recognize from earlier, walks forward. He walks and stands next to Trapper, and he says, "For the great service you have done us, perhaps there may be peace between our people." And that is where we fade out on this session. And that is the end of the game, guys. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all enjoyed the game.
Oh, it was a blast.
Yeah.
Loved it. And just to add one tiny little note, in the ceremony, beautiful doves flying across, and as Holcomb's standing there, this one tiny little bird dropping. Tink. You've got to be kidding me.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that is where we close. Again, thank you very much all for playing, guys. That was Blood and Six Shooters, a Fate core game using the Wild Blue setting from the Fate Worlds book, Worlds on Fire, by Evil Hat Publishing. This has been a game for Con+1 in support of Child's Play, a wonderful charity that ensure children who are sick and are generally having a bad time of it have a distraction and some entertainment to help get their minds off their unfortunate situations. So again, thanks to my wonderful players, thanks to Ian, thanks to Joseph, thanks to Jaron for joining me at what I know was a fairly early / ridiculously late time for all of us. Like I said, that is the end of the game. I've been John from Red Dice Diaries and been your GM. So thank you very much for joining us if you're watching this now or in the future. And please remember to give generously to Child's Play if and when you can. So I'm going to close the broadcast now, guys. I'm happy to chat for a bit afterwards. But for anyone who's watching, take care, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. Keep them guns a-firing.